boy, it's a miracle from Ben! Superstar. The skipper's got a bag today.
And a very happy Easter to you wherever you may be watching our coverage around Australia as we welcome you to AAMI Stadium with the best road team in the AFL. The Kangaroos are the first team out onto the ground as they prepare to go head-to-head against Port Adelaide in a very interesting match. Certainly are going to need a win here. They won only 4 of 12 matches at AAMI last season and they'd like to get off on a winning note, and if they're going to do that, well, Dean Brogan will give them a plenty coming out of the centre. 19 possessions and 8 clearances against Fremantle last week. Maybe his best ever game for Power.
No doubt. Best on the ground last week. Won the game off his own hands, really. His ruck work was elite, and the ability to push forward, him and Lade, that's the beauty of having those ruckmen that can push forward and take a big, strong pack mark, as well as behind the ball and stifle the opposition's forward thrusts.
David Roden is a new face for Port Adelaide this season as well. He broke his leg back in 2005 and has made a tremendous comeback. He dominated in the pre-season and kicked 3 goals last week. Also had 5 tackles, and I'm sure he's going to be an important component again today.
Fantastic to see David Roden play well. Throw in Pearce and the Burgoynes. Just another injection of speed for Port Power.
And the Kangaroos, well, what are we going to see from them today? We wonder about their goal-kicking capacity without Nathan Thompson, who was their leading goal kicker last year, and also Lee Harding, their second leading goal kicker last season, isn't here. And Shannon Grant, well, he marked that ball well inside 50, but still had to kick from 15 out, but that certainly didn't cause him to miss the goal. I'm sure he'd like to get one early here to boost the confidence.
No doubt. He would like to put that behind him, John, but I've got no doubt he'll need to play well today, as well as a lot of other senior players. Glenn Archer was pretty ordinary last week as well. So they come over with a bit of belief, but they really have to stifle Power's run.
This is the leading goal kicker in the Kangaroos lineup, Shannon Grant. Can he get his team across the line? Well, they have a very good record against Port Adelaide, the Kangaroos, including a screamer from Winston Abraham back in 1998. We'll be back with more right after this. Welcome back to AAMI Stadium. The toss of the coin. Adam Simpson, the captain from the Kangaroos, has decided to kick to the northern end of AAMI Stadium, which is somewhat of a surprise. An hour ago, there would have been a 4-goal breeze heading to the other end of AAMI Stadium. Breeze has dropped a little and near perfect conditions. And joining us in commentary as well today, we have 2-time premiership winner with the West Coast Eagles, a 4-time club best and fairest, Glenn Jakovich, who saw Port Adelaide last week and was very impressed.
Good afternoon, John and Danny. Great to be here at AAMI Stadium on Easter Sunday. And yes, as you mentioned, I saw Port Adelaide firsthand last week. I just didn't think where they were going to win the game at half-time. It was as if they went down and changed jumpers with Fremantle, because they came out void by Daniel Pearce and Michael Wilson through the middle, got them going and gave them every chance to get the ball in the forward line. But the Kangaroos, on the other hand, will be interested to see how they respond after a demoralising loss. They had a chance to win that game and they want to exercise a few demons, but none other than coming to a ground they've had a lot of good success in the past.
Yes, they have dominated Port Adelaide. The Kangaroos will kick to the left of screen. They'll be working into whatever breeze there is at the moment. And Port Adelaide, who won only 4 of 12 matches at AAMI last season, will be looking to get their season off to back-to-back victories. Very important component for North Melbourne. We see David Hale heading forward. Umpires for this match, Martin Ellis, a 200-gamer, Matthew Nichols, and Chris Camelins has the honours. As we get underway, Port Adelaide against the Kangaroos. And it's the Kangaroos who head forward with the first touch deep into the forward line. David Hale couldn't grab hold of the mark, and now trying to relieve the pressure. We find Michael Pettigrew. He's going to need some help, and Chad Corns is happy to rush the ball across the line.
Well, great signs early. Daniel Wells, I want to see more of that, just running out of the midfield, driving the ball forward.
Port Adelaide come out through the agency of Kane Corns, has a man available, Stephen Salopek. Running for him, Michael Wilson, the acting captain. Plenty of space to move into. Just outside the 50, goes long into the pocket. Can't find a marking target, and it's a point for Port Adelaide.
Well, that's the thing, Danny. You mentioned a good start by the Kangaroos. If they're going to run that way, they're going to be mindful to man up their direct opponent, because Port went down the other end of the ground uncontested.
Brady Rawlings with an opportunity here, has space to move into. Corey Jones has been a danger man against Port Adelaide recently, including a 5-goal haul. Can't reel it in, and the ball trickles over the line.
We'll be interested to see how the stoppage work goes here, because the Kangaroos in the past have really stifled Port's run around the stoppages.
Brogan and Hamish McIntosh go at it. Now Port Adelaide through Sean Burgoyne. Got some problems, and so too has Stephen Salopek as he's wrapped up by the Kangaroos.
That's a good start for the Kangaroos. I noticed, Glenn, a lot of numbers around the ball. That will suit the Kangaroos. What Port need to do here, they need to be disciplined and open up the area around the stoppage.
More so patient.
Dame Brogan and McIntosh in a wrestling match. Ball spills free. Peter Burgoyne getting an early touch. Joining in Kane Corns. Goes laterally to Brogan. And joining in as well. Now Port Adelaide work it towards Ebert. He was a live wire last week. Shut down on that occasion. Second effort is a good one. Ball is free. Kicked off the ground there by Dominic Cassisi. Now getting back to relieve the pressure, we find Michael Ferrito, but he's got his hands full. Didn't do any favours for Daniel Pratt. And joining in as well as Shannon White, but a free kick has been found and will go the way of the Kangaroos.
We were just mentioning there with young Ebert, he presented himself so well last week, gave Port something to kick to, and in the second half really got their momentum going in their forward line.
Over the top, Petrie being paid. Dean Laidley with plenty on his mind at the moment as the Kangaroos work it around the outer wing. Petrie by hand. Now getting involved, Shannon Grant. They're messing around with the ball. Now into the centre where Brady Rawlings is operating. Works it to Daniel Harris. Took them on. And that looked like a free kick as well. Getting into the back of his opponent was Nathan Loney.
Well, Nathan just had to be a little bit smarter there. I mean, the pace and the momentum was, he was going to fall over, and he just had to just use his technique, maybe come from the side, or just let his player grab possession of the ball and then wrap him up. But he just went with the momentum, and it's something that they do practice a lot at training, Danny.
Certainly do.
So the captain, Adam Simpson. One of the best for the Kangaroos last week. 70 goals in his career, almost 250 AFL games. The left foot comes back on the breeze, and Adam Simpson gives Kangaroos a dream start here against Port Adelaide.
Well, that was a great start for the Kangaroos, and look, they're kicking into a 2 or 3 goal breeze, you would have thought, and that is a magnificent kick. Probably not his strong suit, Adam Simpson, but a great skipper's goal. That'll just settle the nerves. Playing interstate, Glenn, as you know, really need some scoreboard pressure. Need to keep the crowd quiet. Not a big crowd here today in AAMI Stadium, but that's a really good start there for the Kangaroos.
Oh, silencing crowd is very important, and just giving the confidence to the rest of your teammates.
Port Adelaide gave away goals early against Fremantle from free kicks. They've done the same here against the Kangaroos, who have a 6-point lead. Little over 4 minutes played, term number 1 from AAMI Stadium, and the Kangaroos looking to clear again through Daniel Harris. Now getting involved, they work it up field. Brown couldn't hold on to the ball. Port Adelaide through Pettigrew, working it toward the boundary line. They'll be happy to see this over, and escorted that way by Nathan Loney. Glenn Archer on the bench to start the match, along with Lee Thomas, David Trotter and Aaron Edwards, the new face. And again, it's Jess Sinclair sharking the tap from Brogan, playing in front Cassisi, couldn't hold on to the mark. Heavy work going in close. And Hamish McIntosh lumbers over to where Pettigrew is operating. Got it away, but only as far as Andrew Swallow. He comes into the centre of the ground where Daniel Harris has taken a mark under pressure from Kane Corns. Looks up, the man available is the ruckman, Hamish McIntosh.
He might be too far out to kick. He's going to look left here.
And Lachlan Hansen's journeyed up from the back pocket, got a good look at it, but has just pushed it to the far side.
Positive signs there for the Kangaroos. Lachlan Hansen playing up the other end on Adam Koshel, so he's ran the length of the ground. That's great to see from a youngster playing in the back line, Glenn.
Well, it's encouraging to play on their instincts and run forward and attack the footy. But Port Adelaide's just their manning up. It's been a little bit poor in this last couple of minutes.
Loney relieves the pressure out of their defensive 50. It was an excellent kick onto the chest of Michael Wilson, who's off and running. Available for him is Stephen Salopek. Now Corns getting it to Burgoyne. He goes long from inside the centre square, deep into the forward pocket. Good defensive work over the back on that occasion coming from Drew Petrie.
Well, they're looking to get him on the counter, Danny, and Port Adelaide have got that pace through the middle and going long to the square. I mean, sometimes that kick is not the best kick. There's a couple of options, presenting leading forward. It's just that 10-metre chip kick.
Lade and Petrie do the rucking duties. Daniel Harris sharked the ball, got it to Wells. Now they move it outside the defensive 50, and the Kangaroos work it out wide. Excellent work on that occasion from Chad Corns coming in late to steal it away. Here's Peter Burgoyne on the left foot, has Ebert available. He takes the mark just outside 50.
It's great confidence from Corns trying to go for the grab.
Yeah.
Ebert goes long to the square, marking contest. Petrie released the pressure. They work the ball out to Brady Rawlings, and he has some space to work in with a bounce. Shannon Graham wants it, but he's going beyond him. He's going to join in now. Brent Harvey. Salopek scoops up the loose ball to Peter Burgoyne, who's seen plenty of it. It's a poor hand pass, put his teammate Surgeon under pressure. Good tackling by Adam Simpson. Now Brogan trying to change the situation for Port Adelaide. Burgoyne on the end of it. Fans thought he was infringed, and that's the way it's being seen by umpire Martin Ellis, much to the delight of the home faithful.
Well, just wary of Burgoyne's pace there.
He's gone to his brother. There's loose checking there by the Kangas. I mean, with those two players in particular, anytime they move forward, you have to make sure that you're on top of them and knowing where they're moving at all times, because they're so elusive. And, well, brother to brother there, he's having a shot on goal. But great to see Peter Burgoyne back in amongst it.
New vice-captain with Port Adelaide, Sean Burgoyne, will kick from just on the 50. And it's hit the upright.
Well, it's a better build-up. They lowered their vision. It took the Burgoyne brothers to do that. Their first two entries before that were just long to the top of the square, which really helped the Kangaroos' defence. So Port's strength is to bring other players into the game, and you've got to lower your vision.
David Hale up the ground, the target, but can't reel it in. Here's Kasisi with the left foot again to the goal square. Lade and Ebert available, but there are four defenders there outnumbering Port Adelaide to push the ball through.
When you play a lot in defence, that's your bread and butter. They continue to just bomb the ball long to the top of the square. The forward hasn't got anywhere to move.
Well, it makes your job easy as a defender, whereas you're, up being led to the ball and turned around back to the goal square. I mean, that is hard work, but they're bombing it up there, no sense at the minute.
Kane Corns jams it onto the right foot to the goal square, but again, multiple defenders back there for the Kangaroos, and again, they rush the ball through.
Well, Port are doing all the attacking, but unfortunately they haven't put any scoreboard pressure on the Kangaroos, and they are kicking with a 3-goal breeze, so they're letting the Kangaroos off the hook here at the minute. Kangaroos
work it to the western side of Amy Stadium. Just stopping and propping there, Lachlan Hansen. He's paid the penalty. An opportunity for Josh Marnie. Now Peter Burgoyne. Two players returning for Port Adelaide. Somehow Burgoyne got it to Kasisi. He wheels around onto the right foot, down in the forward pocket and rushed over the line. No chance there for Peter Burgoyne against Ferrito.
I think when leading into the forward line and just holding onto the ball, that extra little second with a bit of patience, so you do find the right target up forward.
Lade palms it down. Cutting across now, Brady Rawlings. Here's Archer. His first touch. Working along the boundary line. And Daniel Pratt unable to keep it in.
Well, Peter Burgoyne's come off the ground now for a spell, replaced by David Roden. 5 possessions early for Peter Burgoyne.
Lade and Petrie go at it again. Salopek's been busy, but will have a bounce down. A little over 10 minutes played here in the first term. Kangaroos with the only goal so far through their captain Adam Simpson. Here he is with it. Not getting much distance with the kick though. And it's scooped up by Daniel Pearce with the left foot. Again, the Kangaroos have multiple players around the ball. Archer couldn't take the mark. Now Port Adelaide with an opportunity. Koshel trying to get Marnie involved. Stays down low with it. Kane Corns to Sean Burgoyne. Now it's Pearce. Has 2 players available. And taking the mark here, Jacob Surgeon.
Just watching Jacob Surgeon. He had a run with roll with Peter Bell last week until half-time when Peter Bell got injured. But he's done a fantastic job on a good mover last week. And he's got a bit of a run with roll here today as they're changing the players. But he does run forward very well. And he's found a bit of space, pinched a bit of time there, and he's having a shot on goal.
Kicked 1 goal last week against the Dockers, Jacob Surgeon. Has pushed it to the right-hand side here. Port Adelaide with their problems at the moment.
Well, it's a huge let-off again for the Kangaroos. If they can just hold on the Kangaroos, they just need to get the ball over the centre of the ground. They haven't been able to do that in the last 5 minutes. Dangerous.
Working hard, David Hale. Good hands from Simpson. Now the Kangaroos can break. Into the middle of the field, Brady Rawlings running hard. Searching kick. Coming out the grid at McIntosh. Couldn't get hold of it. Wells does. And taking them on. And coming off second best on that occasion. And Port Adelaide will clear. And we're going to take it back. A little surprisingly, but Lindsay Thomas trying to shake an opponent.
That's a let-off there for the Kangaroos because they're away.
Salopek goes out wide. Loney takes it from Surgeon. They're running in numbers. Chaplin wants it, and that's the direction he's going at the moment. Little pressure on Port Adelaide, and they work it exquisitely down where they find Brett Ebert.
Well, that's a bit of entry. They kick the ball to space to allow the forward to run onto, not just the long bomb and hope your forward takes a packed mark. Kick the ball to space to a forward. Normally will get on the end of it.
Ebert was good last week. 3 goals. With the left foot, he goes from just inside 50. The fans like it, and Port Adelaide have their first goal. It took 13 and a half minutes.
Well, that's the goal they needed, Glenn, because they bomb the ball continually. They kick 5 behinds in a row, and then all of a sudden they widen and lower their vision. Give them to those smaller players, because what Ferrito's doing there, he's thinking, will I come back and be third man in and help the tall defenders of the Kangaroos? And that was great vision just to hit Ebert up there, and it was a very good goal outside the corridor. So a much needed goal there for Port.
14 minutes played, term number 1. Port Adelaide with their first goal through Brett Ebert. A free kick going here against David Hale, and Port Adelaide break. Roden with support from Sean Burgoyne. Deep into the forward line. Ebert again, the target, has found some space. Good job from Ferrito, who arrived late but did enough to defuse the situation. And now kicks the ball along the boundary line and finally over.
Well, as you mentioned, they're getting a lot of good run off their half-back line. We mentioned Surgeon and a few of the other players are just starting to peel off. Getting that confidence for Port Adelaide is starting to set them up. But the important thing is that last goal came from actually hitting the right target and being patient with their skills.
Brogan looking to get into the back there of David Hale. It goes unwhistled. The 2 big men working hard again. Good tackling from Port Adelaide. They wrap up Daniel Harris.
They're using their rotations down there, Port. They've interchanged a fair few players already. As you can see, Michael Wilson about to come back on now. So using their players.
Salopek with good hands to Logan. In numbers, here's Chad Corns. Took a double take to Ebert in the pocket. Has to retreat. Kept it alive brilliantly to Cracker. And what a tackle. A goal-saving tackle from the shin boner of the century, Glenn Archer.
Well, good player from both sides there. Good vision there by young Ebert, but obviously great tackle there by Glenn Archer.
Well, he had a pretty ordinary game last week, Archer. You could just tell nice and early he just wants to get some body on body. This is where the Kangaroos are falling down there. They're half forward line. They're just not presenting. They're playing stagnant football at the moment. They just need to take the opposition on and run the ball through the corridor. This will really suit Port, this style of play, chipping around the boundary line.
Andrew Swallow goes further afield to Brady Rawlings.
As you can see now, because of the slow build-up, the numbers behind the ball, it's going to make it very difficult for the Kangaroos to score.
Brent Harvey with it next. Kicked 3 goals last week. Perhaps the Kangaroos' best player against Collingwood and McIntosh. As you can see, a long way from home. Drives the ball deep. David Hale comes out to greet it, and over the top of him comes Michael Pettigrew.
Well, that was a great spoil there from Pettigrew. And Mark Williams showed a lot of courage at selection, leaving out Darryl Wakeman. Probably thought he didn't have a match-up for him, so really the pressure's on for spots. You need that to be a good side.
Brogan again getting hands to the ball. Comes free. The Kangaroos have a loose man out here. Shannon Watt.
Well, that was a great kick. If he had to kick the ball long, he would have kicked it to 3 Port players on their own and just had the awareness late to widen his vision to give it to Watt.
Shannon Watt kicked 8 goals in his career from Hamilton, the wool capital of the world. An opportunity to put the Kangaroos back in front. Shannon Watt from just inside the 50. Uses the body language but can't get it through. A minor score.
Well, they haven't had many opportunities to go forward, but it's important when they do get set shots like that, they have to capitalise on, because they just need to be a bit more lively. There we go. There's been a turnover. He's kicked a goal.
Excellent work on that occasion. Coming through from David Hale. He bangs on the second goal for the Kangaroos, and they're back in front.
Well, I mean, the biggest bloke. You got the biggest bloke there. So, as we see in the replay there, why not have him guarding the goal square and kick it straight to him? So, yeah, good response.
Not a great feeling as a fullback. Happened to me once,
not.
Glenn, and you got nowhere to hide.
You ever done that? Kicked it no one?
Yep. Simon Beasley.
The good thing about it, that about 8 Port Adelaide players went up to him and just said, don't worry about it, just keep his confidence up.
The Kangaroos with a 3-point buffer.
Dean Laley would be happy with the start. The on ball is Wells 5, and you've got Daniel Harris with 6 possessions and Brady Rawlings. So the in and under type players are going well for the Kangaroos.
Back underway and getting the ball out of the centre square. Port Adelaide go to their half forward line. Glenn Archer there looking to clean up, but Kasisi comes up with a loose ball. Ebert working into the pocket for him. The ball goes in that direction. It's wide. Boundary umpire wasn't in the best position there, but he's made the call and he's going to turn it over to the Kangaroos.
It was a good call. I mean, he thought about it, but on our position here, you can see it was clearly out.
Rawlings has had plenty of it. Now they work the ball out to Brent Harvey. Nice lead up the ground coming from Lee Brown. Hands over to Archer. Had a tremendous start, but he's coughed it up here. Nathan Cracker presenting some problems for him. Numbers with Port Adelaide.
Oh, great tackle, Brady Rawlings. Great tackle.
Josh Marnie not aware he was there. Crunched and is still down. As the Kangaroos through Andrew Swallow. Gets it onwards to Petrie. Now they're working it to Daniel Wells. He takes a flying shot at goal, but he's well offline.
Just need a forward presenting there. I mean, Daniel Wells was going flat out, but I mean, Brady Rawlings, that's what he's renowned for. He's a hard player. He's a run-with player, but just his ability to tackle like that.
He's coming off too, Marnie, and that really hurts when you've got no awareness around and all of a sudden, bang, find yourself on the deck.
Port Adelaide with numbers again out on the wing. This is Tom Logan. Looking up, but it's a poor pass. Good defensive work on that occasion from Shannon Watt. Diffuses it for the Kangaroos, and Archer's available again.
It's a different Glenn Archer today. Fair to say, needed the run last week.
Good run provided here by David Trotter. Petrie with some problems goes back to David Trotter. Logan working hard for Port Adelaide. Excellent tackle from the power. A good work on that occasion from Ferrito. Keeps it alive. Shannon Grant wheels around onto the left foot, and he has had it touched right on the line by Chad Corns.
Well done, the Kangaroos there. I mean, unlucky they didn't finish off with the goal, but they just kept the ball alive. And then in the forward line, that's what you want to do. You don't want the opposition to, you know, cause a stoppage. Keep the ball alive and create something.
Peter Burgoyne looks up. And there's Damon White working hard against Archer. Good tussle again. Archer gets the better of it. Salopek all over his opponent. Ball spills free. Brent Harvey gives it to the advantage of Daniel Wells, who goes long into the forward pocket. Unable to reel it in is Lee Brown. And Port Adelaide will clear. Brent Harvey outnumbered here and crunched hard by Peter Burgoyne.
Lee Brown's a player, Danny, that really needs to assert himself on this game. He's a player that's played up forward, up back. I mean, had an opportunity to take that mark. He had 2 bites at it, didn't complete it. And if the Kangaroos are going to have an impact on this game, he needs to be a forward that steps up and kicks a few goals.
Brendan Lade into the ruck for Port Adelaide. Couldn't get any of it, though. Lindsay Thomas works the ball up the field. Shannon Grant has Wells available. Daniel Wells running into an open goal for the Kangaroos. Made the goal umpire do some work, but he split the centre, and the Kangaroos enjoy a 10-point lead.
Well, that's great play from the Kangaroos. And Wells, you want the ball in the hands of the guys with leg speed, especially on this big ground. He's had 9 possessions nice and early. Mark Williams wouldn't be too happy with the accountability from his midfield at the moment. The Kangaroos are continually winning the ball, and you get guys like Wells with space like that. It just means they're just not quite switched on, Glenn.
The other thing that they've set a good example through Glenn Archer and Rawlings at the back. We've seen a couple of hard possessions they've won down there, and it's been fantastic.
Kangaroos have kicked the last 2 goals here. Same number of scoring shots as Port Adelaide, but a 10-point lead. As Brendan Lade goes at it again, this time against Drew Petrie. Cassisi working hard to Peter Burgoyne. Shows us his skills. Gets it to Roden. He needs support. Provided by Kane Corns. Right in the centre circle. Goes deep to full forward and cutting across. Saving mark taken there by Daniel Pratt.
Well, young Cracker just had to touch and feel him there and just be on his opponent, not make it a 2-on-1.
Matt Riggio joins in.
They've got some space here, the Kangaroos, especially through the middle of the ground.
Sinclair looks up to half forward. Coming out to greet the ball. Nice mark from Aaron Edwards, the debutant.
Well, he's only been in the ground 2 minutes, and that's what you want to see, Jacka. Just run straight and hard at the ball. Regardless of whether he took the mark, he just attacked the contest. That's what you want to see from your key forward. Gives your midfielders a target to hit.
Well, at West Coast, saw him a lot of the times doing that type of work, especially in the waffle. He'd come out and he'd just bust up packs, and he's an unlikely look as a forward. He's not a tall forward, but he will have a go.
Kicked 100 goals for Frankston last season in the VFL. But his first kick for the Kangaroos just fades to the left-hand side. It's a minor score.
Well, that would have been a handy one for him, Danny. Just at this stage at Port, you would say, would fair amount of dominance here and find themselves trailing.
Well, I look forward to Mark Williams at quarter time, because the amount of space the Kangaroos have had when they've won the ball is deplorable.
Salopek with his hands full. Daniel Wells all over him at the moment. A stalemate. Umpire asking them to continue on, but eventually he's going to have to come in and bounce the ball. Layden Petrie. Loose ball shark by Wells, but Logan is there to scoop it up for Port Adelaide to Peter Burgoyne, who's been busy. Retreats to Chad Corns. He's trying to find Sean Burgoyne. Was he off? Thought about it, certainly, against Brent Harvey. Works it over the top now to Dominic Cassisi. Waiting for the run of Chad Corns. And he's looking longer. Ebert's made a lead to the goal square and took a strong mark as well.
Great passage of play. They need more of that when you get the ball in Chad Corns' hand. It was great play. Cassisi drew Glenn Archer and then give a little handball out. We just see Corns running through the middle of the ground here. And again, a well-weighted kick out in front of your forward. He's a hard matchup because he marks the ball like a 6'3" player, Glenn.
Yeah, it certainly does. I mean, it's all well and good to push numbers back, but it's the damage in the midfield that you've got to be careful, because these guys can hit it pretty lace up these days, and their skills are very good. As Ebert kicks that goal.
Makes no mistake and gets Port Adelaide back to within 5 points.
Well, he's a great player, Chad Corns. He plays centre half back, but he's a very attacking player, and he's one player I'm sure Dean Laidley and the Kangaroos will be mindful of the fact. Try and keep him deep, but if he gets the ball in his hands, he just runs and takes the opposition on. That was a great passage of play. That would make Mark Williams a little bit more relieved in the box, because before then he didn't have too much run from his half back line.
Three goals last week for Brett Ebert, 2 already here, remembering his dad played for North Melbourne in 1979 after a decorated career with Port Adelaide in the SA NFL. Back underway, almost 26 minutes played, term number 1. The power with another opportunity is Salopek. Took plenty of time deciding where he was going with it. In the end, didn't do any favours for his teammate Daniel Pearce. But they've got numbers around the ball at the moment, Port Adelaide, and Pearce will get another opportunity. No one deep for him. There's one marking forward up there at the moment in the form of Josh Marnie, and the ball knocked through for a minor score.
That's one area of their game they can improve. Just kick the ball 30 metres out in front of goal. Continually they're just bombing the ball to the top of the square to a stationary forward who can't move.
Restart to Corey Jones, a forward who's had to go a long way back. Numbers working along the boundary line for him. This is Daniel Pratt. Going short again, not 15 to David Trotter. Now Pratt needs to be accurate.
Well, Port need to man up here. The Kangaroos runner's been out, and so let's go in at quarter time with this 4-point lead. What Port need to do is just go 1-on-1, force him to kick the ball long.
Little over 90 seconds to play, term number 1, and umpire Matthew Nichols, to the chagrin of the home fans, has found a free kick here going to the Kangaroos.
Well, Jacko, that's the new rule. Any hand in the back is a free kick.
And they've been paying him pretty consistently through the first 2 rounds. Let's just see how they continue with that.
A little nudge from Brogan against Petrie, who hugs the boundary line with a kick, and Chad Corns climbs up at the back of the pack to drag down the mark for Port Adelaide.
He's starting to cause a few problems off that half-back line. They're going to look to push him deeper in the Kangaroos forward line.
Pearce works the ball forward. Another opportunity looming here for Port Adelaide. Another pass eventually gets to Stephen Salopek, fraught with danger. Chad Corns looking to be a little more direct as his pass intended for Roden knocked down. Roden getting into the back of Jess Sinclair. That goes unwhistled. Jones to Sinclair. Short pass, trying to get Lindsay Thomas involved. Now to the half-forward line. Michael Wilson over the back with a spoil, and look at the recovery as well. Pass for Chaplin, didn't do him any favours, but it's scooped up by Surgeon. He works it to Salopek. In turn, they go to Roden. A little unsure. Goes with a bounce. Now, driving it to the goal square. Ebert looming at the back. Can't get a run at it, and in fact has given away a free kick.
Well, they keep making those same mistakes as we hear the quarter-time siren. I mean, they should be, probably a little bit further in front. Well, they're not even in front at quarter-time. They've wasted opportunities, 2 goals, 7, but just haven't learnt the lessons. I think, Mark Williams will really emphasise the fact when going forward, look for that little, 20 or 30 metre kick and kick the space, because Ebert is just getting outnumbered by 3 talls, and they're just crashing it out. 7 points, 6 of them have been rushed behind.
Of course, Dean Laidley, he'd be wrapped. He would have taken a quarter-time lead on an opposition ground every day of the week, and I've got no doubt, I agree with you, Jacko, Mark Williams will be telling his midfielders to lower their vision. Kick the ball to space and allow your forwards to run onto it. Don't bomb the ball long.
Kangaroos by 4. We'll be back with more right after this. Welcome back to Amy Stadium. An enterprising start to the match from the Kangaroos, who hold a 4-point lead against Port Adelaide, who also started slowly last week against Fremantle before finding their feet. Brett Ebert, the only goal scorer for Port Adelaide at the moment. The Kangaroos, Simpson, Hale and Wells, their goal kickers so far.
We have a look at those stats there. They're fairly even across the board and inside 50s. Port 20, that's the big difference. Port 20, Kangaroos 12. Jacka, 8 of those inside 50s for Port were long to about 2 metres out from the goal line. I'm sure Mark Williams and his staff would try and rectify that.
It'll be frustrating for a coach and a match committee knowing that you planned all week, and I mean they come off a very good win last week, but to have 8 more inside your 50s, 1 or 2 first that go to the top of the square, and the Kangaroos just mass numbers back and spoil it through. You know, you want your leadership group of players out there to work it out. So, well, let's go low and let's find space. But they continue to do it for 30 minutes.
And Dean Lately, he'd be wrapped. Daniel Wells having the 10 possessions. Had a pretty quiet game last week, but he's their game breaker. They need to get the ball in his hands, and I'm sure I'll be looking to see which Port player goes on to Daniel Wells. Rawlings has been good. Daniel Harris, they've got the ball in and under and give it to the runners. If Brent Harvey can have an impact like Wells, the Kangaroos are going to be right in this game up to their ears.
Well, the Kangaroos are always going to be up against pace, and Port Adelaide are oozing with pace with Pearce and the Burgoyne boys. But as you said, good start for Daniel Wells, and let's see if he can continue for the rest of the game.
Well, plenty of work to do for Port Adelaide. 9 scoring shots to 8, but Dean Laidley and the Kangaroos hold sway at the moment. Remembering they also led at quarter time against Collingwood last week. Couldn't get over the line, but good start of the match for Glenn Archer. Just 4 possessions last week in 88% of the game time.
Well, Dean Laidley's used him well. Start him on the bench. He's going to start on the bench again this quarter, and he come on and he really wanted to play. He had the hunger. I don't think Arch likes playing on the bench, but he's playing the team game. He's getting a little bit long in the tooth now. But when he came on, he added an impact with his body, and that's what we've grown to love about Glenn Archer. He never rarely plays 2 bad games in a row.
No, and definitely right there. And he set the scene, him and Brady Rawlins, with that tackle on Marnie. Just he's in and under, his willingness. You know, they say it's courage, sometimes reckless the way he throws his body around. But from there, I sense that some of the boys of the Kangaroos rallied and they went down and kicked a couple of goals. So if they can continue that, that's obviously why they're such a shin-boning side, that they work very hard for each other.
Port have gone with a very mobile forward line. Only got Damon White, and the rest of the players are all about 6 foot. So I think Mark Williams is telling his players to lower their eyes and kick the ball to space.
Underway, serve number 2. Free kick has been found, and Brendan Lane will be the recipient. Goes by hand to Kane Corns. Now it's Sean Burgoyne working it to Damon White just outside the 50. He grabs the mark. Opportunity now for Port Adelaide as they get the ball to Josh Marnie, and he takes a strong mark.
Well, that's great coaching. He's put a mobile forward set up. He's taken a tall, the ruckman, out of the forward line, and he said to his players, hit the ball to some space because we've only got one tall in Damon White. Let's use some space and hit up the lead.
Well, everything we mentioned there at quarter time, they've obviously discussed it at quarter time, but they left that space open, and as Damon White took that mark, got off the mark straight away, peeled back and just chipped it over to Josh Marnie, now coming in and having a shot on goal.
Leading goal kicker for Port Adelaide last season, Josh Marnie, lines up and splits the centre as Port Adelaide retake the lead.
Well, it's a great start. And as a coach, he'd be wrapped because he said, well, I'm taking the ruckman out of the forward line, Glenn, and I'm going to force you players to kick the ball to some space. We've only got Damon White up there. There's any guy over 6 foot, 6'3". So you boys, lower your eyes, widen your vision, and kick the ball to some space.
Starting to use the same similar setup he had at Fremantle last week at Subiaco Oval. You see Roden now in that forward line, Pearce, and young Cracker as well. So a lot of pace.
Port Adelaide take over. They have a 2-point lead. Early stages of this second term. Lade working against Hamish McIntosh. Sharked there by Daniel Harris as the Kangaroos come to the half-forward line. Brent Harvey gets it on the half volley. Needs some support from Wells. An excellent pass from him. And Corey Jones joins in. Numbers in the goal square for the Kangaroos, but Jones is going even longer, and he has kicked it from 55.
Oh, it's just great play. I mean, he sized it up, got off the mark very quickly, and there is a native breeze down there, so went for the goals and probably just caught Port a little napping. I mean, they didn't have anyone on the goal line there, but great play by the Kangaroos. Once again, Daniel Wells, you see, was involved in it.
Well, they're just going to have to start manning Daniel Wells up. You just can't afford to play 50-50 football, especially when a player's wide hot. At the moment, Daniel Wells, he is hot because he's had 11 possessions. We've just started the second quarter, and I noticed now they've got Kane Corns onto Daniel Wells.
The other thing is a couple of forwards that, you know, they're lacking down there. Need to get a bit more in them. Him and Lee Brown need to certainly suit themselves.
Dame McIntosh for the Kangaroos, and they've won the centre clearance again. Swallow works it to half forward. Nice work from Pettigrew in over the back. McIntosh almost giving away a free kick there. That went unwhistled. Have a stalemate, and umpire Matthew Nichols will come in. Port Adelaide from Lade to Sean Burgoyne. Working hard, Daniel Harris for the Kangaroos. Ball spills free. Here's Salopek. Corns, nice handball. Sean Burgoyne off and running in the direction of Ebert. Pass not a good one, but Ebert in front. What an unkind bounce. Rushes back. Takes on Ferrito. And a free kick awarded to Brett Ebert.
Just got to be careful as a defender that you're just not too overzealous on chasing your opponent, because inside 50 he's every chance to have a shot on goal here. Just got the hand over the shoulder there, went the tackle, but just got to be a little bit more better in your technique.
Nice lead from the rookie Nathan Cracker. Takes it on his chest.
Well, the Kangaroos haven't adjusted to Port's game plan in the second quarter, Glenn. Kangaroos defenders were expecting the long one. 8 times they went to the top of the square in the first quarter. But Port, they just lower their eyes and kick the ball to space. They need to get a midfielder back to block up that hole that Cracker led into.
And they're one of the better sides in the competition in the short kicks, and that's what that one was, straight to Cracker.
Nathan Cracker pushes it, and the accuracy eludes him. A minor score for Port Adelaide. Kangaroos by 3 points. Almost 5 minutes played in the second term.
Good Port defence here, John.
Eventually gets us restarted. Brendan Lade wrestling with McIntosh. Comes to ground. Surgeon gets it to Burgoyne, and now Nathan Laney looking to centre the ball to Kane Corns. Port Adelaide with numbers. Corns to the forward pocket. Nice defensive work on that occasion from Michael Ferrito. Gets the Kangaroos out of trouble, and Drew Petrie's off and running to the half-forward line. David Hale makes a yard to grab a mark close to the ground. Now presenting himself, we find Lee Brown grabbing the mark. Outside 50, he wheels around onto the right boot. Deep into the Kangaroos forward line, and a strong mark has been taken by Corey Jones.
Well, that's good play. The first part of the play was excellent because Chad Corns zoned off a little bit. You must hit his direct opponent up. Lee Brown led in the first quarter. They ignored him, so you must hit Lee Brown up, and then he just wheeled in on his foot and just got the ball to a contest, which is a great mark from Corey Jones.
Pettigrew just had to be a little bit stronger in the contest with his spoil there. I mean, he was every much in the contest there, but just didn't get any piece on the ball. But well done. I mean, the Kangaroos, 2 forwards that they really need to stand up in Lee Brown and Corey Jones, and they're just getting amongst in the last couple of minutes.
Kicked a bag of 5 against Port Adelaide at the Telstra Dome, and he's kicked 2 here in this second period for the Kangaroos, who extend their lead and now enjoy a 9-point buffer.
Well, that's great play. You need to have plenty of options, and Corey Jones, that was just a magnificent kick on goal, and they just got out to a little handy lead here. So a couple of worrying signs for Mark Williams. Look, they've started this quarter well with the shot on goal, and with the Kangaroos, to their credit, they're just winning the 50-50 balls in the middle of the ground at the moment. So Corns has gone on to Wells, so that's a good sign.
Back-to-back goals from Corey Jones, 2 in 3.5 minutes. The Kangaroos back to a 9-point lead, led by as many as 11 points in the first term. And Lade climbing high to get his hand to the ball. Sharked on that occasion by Adam Simpson. Into the attacking 50. And Port Adelaide relieved the pressure through Thurstons to Burgoyne. And out wide he comes to Jacob Surgeon. Inboard to Kane Corns. By hand to Loney. Good kick on the run just outside 50. Sizes up the situation. Goes deep. Goes very deep. But it's touched on the line. Good defensive work by the Kangaroos.
Glenn Archer. I mean, he just sets the scene, doesn't he? You never die wondering with his leadership. And, I mean, he might be long in the tooth, mate, but he set some examples here today.
Well, he's just unconditional. And what I mean by that, he's unconditional at the contest and at the body. He just goes hard at the ball. He's a beauty.
David Hale takes the mark. Handball over the top was a slow one for Daniel Harris. Had some work to do against good pressure from Daniel Pearce. Now it's Andrew Swallow through the centre of the ground. Penetrating kick. Good defensive work for Chaplin from Port Adelaide, but it spills to Shannon Grant. He gets it to the captain. Adam Simpson looks for Wells coming across. Chad Corns diffuses the situation for Port Adelaide.
Well, that hurts because Daniel Wells was on then, and if that had been a good kick, like he's getting tagged at the moment, so it's got to be better with your entries inside your forward 50.
Thurstons relieves the pressure to Surgeon. Getting a good shepherd from Chaplin. Wants to run around David Hale. Handball over the top of Sean Burgoyne. He's shut down by Daniel Harris and is called for throwing the ball.
Yeah, good decision there from the umpire. Daniel Harris had a piece here and he did fumble the ball in the air.
Kangaroos with numbers. Lee Brown gets to it first, goes to Hale. He looks up and here's the danger man here in the second term. Corey Jones has got it again.
Well, that was a great block off the ball there from Shannon Grant. Just had the awareness to have a look and play team football and block Chaplin's run so Corey Jones could come in and take an uncontested mark.
Watching young Jacob Surgeon out here, he's got a couple of possessions out here. No one manning him up, but young Sinclair just came on and he had to man him up.
Corey Jones unloads from the 50. And a good piece of it, but it's touched right on the line by Chad Corns. Surgeon gets it from Corns. Now works into the centre of the ground where Kane Corns is available. Joining in Thurstons, he goes over the top to Sean Burgoyne.
Getting a lot of it now, Sean Burgoyne.
Nathan Loney again runs to the 50, unloads from top of the 50, and a long raking goal from Nathan Loney is just what Port Adelaide needed.
Well, he didn't get the first one, Glenn, but he got the second one. And Sean Burgoyne, the danger man for the Kangaroos. He's on fire at the moment. He's had 4 possessions. When you get the ball in his hands, something happens because he takes the opposition on. You just see him draw the player there. And why not give it to Nathan Loney, one of the best long kicks in the competition. That really does hurt because the Kangaroos have controlled the play for the first 8 minutes, yet Port have done a fantastic job getting that goal.
Port Adelaide close to within 3 points, an entertaining second term. Back in the middle of the ground. David Hale goes out of the game and Adam Simpson pumps the ball forward for the Kangaroos. Big pack developing. Kangaroos have numbers around the ball now. Chad Corns is there coming across but has done it illegally. Maybe the free kick against his brother Kane. And Brent Harvey will have a shot on goal.
Well, they're going goal for goal here. I mean, it's a good game of footy. Both teams are playing on their instincts and rolling the dice on a few occasions. But here's a set shot that we saw 2 Port Adelaide players miss in the first quarter. Need to kick this one, Brent Harvey.
3 goals last week, Brent Harvey.
Well, pushed it to that side.
Again has pushed it to the right-hand side. Minor score. Toby Thurstons to do the honours for Port Adelaide. Goes short. Jacob Surgeon in the back pocket. Not a lot on offer for him at the moment. He's going to go short as well and goes back to where it started in Toby Thurstons. 14 possessions and 6 marks last week against Fremantle. Here's Cassisi. Trying to run around Lindsay Thomas. Now has to retreat to Thurstons, who dangerously comes across the face of goal. Jacob Surgeon is there with a left foot. Goes to Troy Chaplin. Now Michael Wilson's on. So too Kane Corns in the middle of the ground. Chaplin gets it to Wilson, and now Kane Corns. Off and running, Ebert presents. That's overlooked. He goes to the corner, and coming out to grab the ball, Josh Marnie. Looking to the hot spot. Brogan is there for Port Adelaide. Made a contest of it, and it spills free, and David Roden is there to get in on the act for Port Adelaide and get his first goal.
Well, great play. Kane Corns, he's the hunter. He's on Daniel Wells. He's only kept Daniel Wells. Daniel Wells has only had the one possession since quarter time, and all of a sudden Corns is instrumental in the play there. Just gets the ball forward. A good contest there, but gee, the speed of David Roden there, there's nothing the Kangaroos defence could do other than maybe get goal side of Davey Roden. Once a player of that ability and speed gets forward of the ball, it's just about all over for you.
That's his job, to kick the goals, and that's what he's done first up.
Port Adelaide take over, a 2-point advantage on the back of the first goal of the game for David Roden. Had 3 last week against Fremantle. And Brogan and Hale go at it again, but Port Adelaide clear it from the centre. Cassisi looks up.
Now, there's a free kick in the middle of the ground here, John. I think it's Sean Burgoyne off the ball.
No advantage there, Swap. I thought they were deep in their forward line.
Yeah, I'm with you. I think the umpire looked at him and thought maybe if it had been a mark.
And you can see all the Kangaroo players now just rushing back and just flooding the space now. So, yeah, I'm not sure if that's an advantage for Port Adelaide. No one in the Kangaroos forward line, so they're all just pushed up now, just trying to, I guess, isolate this play.
Eventually they relay the ball back to Sean Burgoyne. A little over 14 minutes played, term number 2. Making a lead out wide, and excellent running by David Roden. Marnie on for him. He goes in that direction, and Marnie couldn't hold on. Brogan cleans up for him. Here's Daniel Pearce hooking around the corner with a left foot. He splits the centre for the Port Adelaide team, and they have now kicked 3 in a row and have opened up an 8-point advantage.
Well, it's just good play by Port. I mean, keeping the ball alive there in any contest, but Port Adelaide have got those players like Pearce and the Brooklands that can do that little bit of magic, and that's what it took. I mean, we mentioned in that set play the Kangaroos flooding back, but David Roden now getting amongst it. They're small players. That's what was so dangerous about them in the second half against Fremantle last week, and they're just starting to get on top in this last 5 minutes. So in the last 5 minutes, but then lately want to probably just put a couple of blokes back now and just just tying it up for them.
Plenty of feeling in this one as well. 3 goals from the Port Adelaide team in a row here as they look to clear it from the centre again. High ball from Peter Burgoyne. Not a lot of distance, but he's back on the job again. Seeing plenty of it at the moment. And free kick has been awarded here to the Kangaroos.
He's got danger times here for the Kangaroos. They need to score.
Shannon Grant available. Couldn't hold on under good pressure from Michael Wilson, who's bundled over the line by Brent Harvey.
Well, they pride themselves, Port Adelaide, on being a tough in and underside and winning, a lot of possessions at the stoppages, and they're starting to just dictate terms to the Kangaroos.
4 goals to 2 for Port Adelaide since quarter time. Opportunity here for the Kangaroos. Roden steps in, gets it to Peter Burgoyne. What a return he has made. Back to Roden, providing plenty of run off the half-back line. Now he needs some help, provided by Josh Marnie, who's deep in defence. To Nathan Cracker, who was patient, waited for Salopek to present himself. Now he goes forward. Logan's available. He's unmarked, and Tom Logan's taken the mark for Port Adelaide. Wants to play on. Goes with the left foot. Has pushed it, and a minor score.
Well, just a rush of blood there. You just sense when the game opens up outside the stoppage area. Port looks super dangerous. So worrying times here for the Kangaroos.
Excellent work from Surgeon coming in behind Glenn Archer, but the Kangaroos might get out of trouble just yet. Port Adelaide with numbers. It's Pearce. Show them a clean pair of heels, and what a pass as he hits it onto the chest of Josh Marnie.
We just saw we're in awe of it up here, Danny and John, but that was just fantastic. Well done, Jacob Surgeon. He just sized it up, made the interception, and Port Adelaide are very, very good at keeping the ball alive.
Have a look at this passage of play from Daniel Pearce. Looked like he's going to fake the handball, and then he just put the afterburners on. But then the kick, running at full tilt, that is elite.
Especially the kick across your body at that pace. Very hard to do and execute it the way he did.
Lines it up, makes no mistake. 4 goals for Port Adelaide, and they have opened up a handy lead here.
Well, it's the speed factor now. Sean Burgoyne, Daniel Pearce, as we see here in the replay again. Look, there was a lot of fumbling going on there. Arch had a ball, he had to get it out under the pack, but it's just outside the contest. See, the ball spills outside the contest. Port are dangerous, but that is just a magnificent passage of play. Just to hit the ball on his left foot, running full tilt away from the player leading, is magnificent football at its best.
Four goals in just 7 minutes from Port Adelaide, who opened up a game high. 15-point advantage. Almost 19 minutes played, term number 2. Worrying signs for the Kangaroos here. And they'll get a free kick. Hamish McIntosh.
It's important now that the Kangaroos go man-to-man and just play on their direct opponent. Don't let the Burgoynes and Pearce and Wilson get out free.
Into the forward line, Wells couldn't handle it. Knocked down, Roden scoops up the loose ball to Surgeon, who relieves the pressure just outside 50.
Geez, been good Davey Roden the last 5 minutes. Been at everything.
Salopek comes across the face of goal to Troy Chaplin. Looks up. Decides to go short, but overcooked it, heading for Kasisi. Bundled off the ball by Harvey. Strong body work. He's found Corey Jones lurking deep. He plays on, and Corey Jones will run in and kick his 3rd goal of the quarter.
Well, that's skill. Brent Harvey actually turned around in the middle of the ground and then had the awareness to kick it on the outside of his foot. Here we see Harvey and just kicked it on the outside of his right boot because Corey Jones was on his own. He didn't have faith in his left foot. But, gee, that's a bit of skill there because I think everyone thought he was just going to kick the ball out to space. But he was able to get the ball on the outside of his right boot just to get the ball into Corey Jones's favour to kick an easy goal.
Also good vision as well.
Corey Jones breaks a 13-minute goal drought for the Kangaroos. He's kicked all 3 of their goals here in the second term. As we get back underway with Port Adelaide leading by 9 points. And a free kick is being paid, and the advantage goes with Port Adelaide. Salopek goes long from just outside 50. Gets it long, gets it deep, and it's touched right on the line.
Well, that's 3 touched on the line now, so desperate play from the Kangaroos defence, and they're just holding up the damn walls at the moment, Glenn.
Well, definitely they're hanging on with this surge by the Power, but when they've gone forward, they've looked lively.
Now the Kangaroos break on the outer wing. Harvey scoops it up. Found some space where there was none. Good teamwork from the Kangaroos, but excellent defensive work again from Port Adelaide.
Need more from Brent Harvey. Just need more from him. Looked like over the line.
Oh, that was definitely a goal. I'm with you. Well, it's tough from here, but it looked on that other angle that the ball was just over the line, but the umpire's in the best position.
A little over 7 minutes out from half-time. Just Sinclair surrounded by Port Adelaide defenders. And we have a stalemate.
Well, about 10 minutes ago, the possession count was just about even, but now Port have had 151 to 126, so they've broken the game open in winning the ball.
Both Sean and Peter at 13 and 12 respectively, so they're getting in amongst it.
Free kick for Port Adelaide, who again break to the western side of Amy Stadium, where they have numbers. Tom Logan Goes by hand to Sean Burgoyne. It was a slow hand pass. Now back to Kasisi. He surveys the options to Chaplin. Over the top to Sean Burgoyne. Has Pearce available. Run down. Hard work by David Trotter goes unrewarded. Daniel Pearce calling for some movement from his forward line. He couldn't find any, so put on the afterburners. Goes forward quickly. Damon White, and late it was in a strong position. Couldn't handle the mark though. And the Kangaroos relieved the pressure. Game Brent Harvey a target. He's nudged over the line by Dominic Kasisi.
Well, they're just willing to be patient, Port, when they do go forward. I mean, Daniel Pearce, to be able to have that pace and that ability to hold the play up and then put it on his turn. As we'll see Daniel Wells now coming on, he'll need to give them some spark and injection in this last couple of minutes.
Well, he's only had the one possession since quarter time, Daniel Wells. Kane Corns has done an excellent job. Kane Corns has actually had 8 possessions playing on him. So that's a huge win for Port.
Kangaroos led by 4 points at quarter time. It's Port Adelaide by 10. 23 minutes played, term number 2. And Brogan goes at it again with McIntosh. Works the ball to the half-forward line. This is Lee Brown trying to shake Toby Thurston's, but over the line.
Just need to get Lee Brown more into the game. He needs to give more to the Kangaroos, whether he moves up the ground in the ruck. He has had a stint there, but he's just not giving enough bite at the minute in the forward line.
Salopek in over the top. With plenty on his plate at the moment. And we suggested at the start of the game that the Kangaroos would try and bottle things up, get numbers around the ball, and they're doing that now at the moment, and they need to. Third man in there, Daniel Pratt, with Daniel Pearce with his pace again. Collision coming here, skip past his opponent there in Trotter. Still can't pick it up though, loose ball. Going in very hard, both teams at the moment, and Port Adelaide have worked it free. Peter Burgoyne off and running. Gets a good shepherd. Disposal left a little to be desired, but it's landed in the lap of his brother Sean.
Well, luck's a fortune. He was looking for Ebert. Ball fell off his boot actually, but you just got to be in the game. He could have had no awareness, Sean Burgoyne, but thought, well, I'm in the game here, and it landed in his lap. You see here Burgoyne running through the middle of the ground. Oh, the ball dropped. That was ugly. Gee, I tell you, it was a good slips catch in the end, wasn't it?
Sean Burgoyne from 25 out, 10 in front, makes no mistake. And Port Adelaide extend their margin out to 16 points.
Glenn, he's the game breaker. No doubt Sean Burgoyne with his brother and Pearce, Roden and speed. Speed is so important in AFL football. Speed is important in any team sport. But we're seeing speed at its absolute finest here today.
And it's that speed that it's enabling Port to win more of their fair share of the 50-50 ball. As we saw that contest that Pearce had out here, the Kangaroos had just as many numbers, but just their pace to get, you know, a little hand in or under and just keep that ball alive. So Kangaroos are still in this game, but they've been done by pace.
Biggest lead in the match so far. It's Port Adelaide by 16 points, 25.5 minutes played, term number 2. 6 goals to 3 since quarter time. And Peter Burgoyne at it again. Working the ball out wide. Well read on that occasion by Adam Simpson. Pass intended for Kane Corns was just a little off the money, and Adam Simpson in the best position. Now works his team forward to Brady Rawlings. Lee Brown all alone, wants it next. They go in that direction. Hard running rewarded. Now wheels around onto the right foot. Gets it deep. Unable to take a clean mark, and Port Adelaide will relieve the pressure. It's Brogan. Getting the ball onwards to Pearce. He goes with the outside of the right foot and gets Damon White involved.
Clear ball use has been good, Port, too, the last 15 minutes. They've hit every target.
White works it deep. Sean Burgoyne comes out to greet it. Couldn't handle the mark. Ferrito with some problems.
Oh!
Archer and Surgeon. And Surgeon comes off with the ball. Works it to the left foot. Will it come back enough?
Or is it the post?
Into the post. A minor score. for Port Adelaide.
Well done, Jacob Surgeon then. I mean, he went against probably the hardest bloke ever to play the game of football. He won the contest and won the actual possession of the ball, so that'd be good for his confidence.
It's all right, Glenn Archer, he's had a fair game, but it's a big ask. He's playing on Sean Burgoyne, who's white hot. The old fella, that'll test his hammies, Glenn.
Oh, he might just try to intimidate him a few times, but I think the Burgoyne's a bit better than that. He'll test his hammies all right.
A little over 3 minutes left in the first half. Damon White arriving late and giving Lachlan Hansen plenty to think about. Wells available. Second in the best and fairest for the Kangaroos last season. Now he finds Brady Rawlings. It's been hard going for the Kangaroos. Been made to work for everything.
There's a direct correlation with Daniel Wells not having much impact in his second quarter, John.
Petrie with an opportunity. Slams it onto the boot, got it off quickly, but pushes it to the right-hand side and a minor score for the Kangaroos.
And that's the strength of Port. They've got 5 or 6 Daniel Wells, where the Kangaroos are relying on Wells and Harvey. To shut one or both of them down really puts a lot of pressure on the guys like Harris, Rawlings, in and under type players to generate some play.
Salopek works it out wide. Nice skills from Michael Wilson earlier on, as well as Logan. Goes to Damon White. Marks strongly.
His boots come off.
Open forward line for Port Adelaide. White's going short to Brett Ebert. Beyond his range there. Going to square the ball up into the middle. An opportunity here for Stephen Salopek. One of the best players for Port Adelaide last week against Fremantle. Gets it going deep. Couldn't find a marking forward though, and Glenn Archer relieves the pressure for the Kangaroos, getting good distance with the kick. Petrie in the front seat here against Brendan Lade, who can't go with him. Less than 2 minutes to play until half-time. An opportunity here for Swallow. He's run down though, took too long.
Oh, great tackle from Tom Logan there.
Port Adelaide running through the middle of the ground. Dominic Cassisi. Numbers in support. Gets around Harris. Gets Chad Corns involved as well. He was trying to find Ebert, but the pass is cut out. A relieving mark by Jess Sinclair. He has Wells available. Another short pass from the Kangaroos. Petrie with some space. Needs to be quick though. Nathan Cracker trying to run him down. Gets it off just in time. And the Kangaroos with an opportunity. David Hale. Keeps it alive. Shannon Grant looking for Hale, who taps it to the advantage of Michael Ferrito. The short pass is on. Good vision to Corey Jones. And Corey Jones from close range has kicked his 4th goal of this quarter.
Well, just badly needed goal for Kangaroos coming in at half-time. They've reduced the deficit now to 10 points, but I mean, Corey Jones is playing a lone hand there. To kick 4 goals in a game is a fantastic effort, but to kick it in 1 quarter, I just want to see his teammate rallying around him. I've seen Edwards now has just come on for another spell, but Lee Brown, they just need to support him in his role, because he can't be expected to compete and contest, which he did in that goal square, and then kick the goals as well. So something they can assess at half-time.
Virtuoso display from Corey Jones. It's Tom Logan. Some rush treatment handing out here. He and Andrew Swallow not the best of friends.
Well, he just had to swallow his pride there, didn't he, Andrew? It was a good tackle, excuse the pun, but it's good to see two young fellas having a crack there, Jacko.
Always good to see him being a little bit lively.
Concluding stages of the second quarter. Good fight back from the Kangaroos. And by as many as 17 points, it's back to 10. Brendan Lade, who hasn't seen a lot of it here in the first half, he squirts it over the line.
It has been a good fight back from the Kangaroos, because you just sense the game was about to break open, but to the Kangaroos' effort, they've done a really good job to go in at half-time, 10 points in arrears.
Good work again from Petrie against Lade. Bangs the ball forward. Kept alive. Good work from Pratt. Gets it on to Daniel Wells. Again, the Kangaroos looming from just outside 50. Pushed as he kicked it. And Michael Wilson is there to take a relieving mark for Port Adelaide.
It's amazing. Every time Daniel Wells gets the ball and is allowed to run, you sense something's going to happen for the Kangaroos. It's a pretty quiet second quarter. To his credit, the last couple of minutes, will give them a lot of confidence going into the second half.
Well, half-time here at AAMI Stadium, and after trailing by 4 points at quarter-time, Port Adelaide hold a 10-point lead. A seesawing affair, very entertaining so far. It's Port Adelaide 8 goals 12, the Kangaroos 7-8. Plenty of feeling in this one and a good match going as well at half-time. Welcome back to AAMI Stadium, where Port Adelaide, who trailed by 4 points at quarter-time, hold a 10-point lead here. 8 goals 12 to 7 goals 8 for the Kangaroos. Corey Jones playing a lone hand with 4 goals there in that second term. And Port Adelaide, well, they might be ruining some missed opportunities there, Danny Frawley, because they had a lot of the ball and perhaps should be further in front.
Especially in the first quarter, 2 goals 7. They continually bomb the ball long, and we just see a lot of the missed chances here. They really could have put the Kangaroos under massive pressure, but just missing those shots on goal when they were kicking with the breeze really did keep the Kangaroos in the game. We'll just see continually here just blazing away and just going long to the squares. A lot of those kicks were rushed through by the Kangaroos defence, made it very easy. And I'm sure Mark Williams at quarter time said to the boys, need to lower your eyes, need to hit up some options, because in the first quarter we just blazed away and expected our forwards to take the mark of the year.
Well, historically that has been a problem for Port Adelaide, their conversion rate, and then we saw at the start of the second term that they started to get leading forwards, they hit their targets, they looked a lot better.
Oh, they certainly did, and you had Marnie, Ebert, Daniel Pearson, these type of players just lowering their vision, putting the ball to space. We see Cracker run onto an easy mark there. We see Shaw Burngoy, and he was terrific. Davey Roden, his second quarter was electric. And you see again, instead of blazing away like they did in the first quarter, just kick the ball to space, and we just see it puts the Kangaroos defence under massive pressure. And we see Daniel Pearce kicking a great front and square goal.
They kicked 6 goals there in the second term, 3 from Marks and 3 on the run. Sean Burgoyne and his brother Peter have both been influential in the match so far, and what a return from Peter Burgoyne.
Oh, look, the Burgoyne boys have been good, but it's been his younger brother, Sean. He was excellent. He's had the 16 possessions in the first half. He's the game breaker at the moment. He's the one that Dean Laidley and the coaching panel will be looking at. How can we stop Sean Burgoyne? Because when he gets the ball forward to the centre, not only can he run, but we see that kick there, just kicks the ball out to space beautifully, and he is the player that I'm sure Dean Laidley needs to put Brady Rawlings on. You can see the leg speed there and the ability to run and open up the opposition really does hurt the Kangaroos.
Yes, the Burgoyne boys have both been very good today for Port Adelaide. And they seem to have a lot more options up forward than the Kangaroos have at the moment. As I mentioned, Corey Jones kicking all 4 of the Kangaroos' goals in that second term. He has a history of playing well against Port Adelaide and continuing it here at AAMI Stadium as well. And Brett Ebert, well, he was busy in the first term. We saw him kick 2 quick goals, but they were able to get it through different avenues after that.
Well, no, Treadray and Brett Ebert, hard matchup. He's only about 5'10", but he marks the ball like a 6'3" player. Leads hard, leads wide, and normally just slots them. And that was a magnificent shot on goal in the first quarter. That was their first goal. They really needed that, Port. And you see Chad Corns running out of the back half, and again takes a mark like a 6'3" player. Not only can he win the ball at ground level, and he usually seals the deal. Kicked 3 last week, he's got 2 already, again causing some headaches for the Kangaroo defence.
He's a reliable performer for Port Adelaide, is Brett Ebert, but the Kangaroos are right in this here at half-time. They trail by just 10 points. I'm sure Dean Laidley thinks they can get across the line here. Can they do it? Well, we'll tell you more from AAMI right after this. And welcome back to AAMI Stadium. Let's take a look at the match stats to half-time with Port Adelaide leading by 10 points. Glenn Jakovic has joined me, and numbers make interesting reading. It's been a good contest so far.
Yeah, it certainly has, John. I mean, the stats don't say a lot. It's pretty even across the board. I mean, Port Adelaide just started to break away in the disposals there in that second quarter, and they've had 6 more inside 50, but should be probably further in front. The Kangaroos just hanging in there.
Interestingly, Dean Laidley started the match coaching from the bench down at ground level, getting a good look at what was going on. Your thoughts on, we've seen coaches do this in the past?
Yeah, we've seen that in the past. I mean, Kevin Sheedy's done it in the past, but we saw him straight in the second quarter probably go up, but probably wanted to get off to a good start and get the messages out to the runners, because it's very important when you're playing Port Adelaide at their home ground. You don't want to be blown out of the water, so maybe just want to be on top of it. Probably a good coaching move.
Well, he certainly had some good turnaround in form from some of his players, including Glenn Archer, who didn't have the best of matches last week against Collingwood. Started on the bench, but when he came onto the ground, he had an immediate impact.
Certainly did. I mean, Glenn Archer never plays 2 bad games in a row, and he'd be a bit disappointed. He's got a lot of pride. As we see, fantastic tackle there on the last line of defence. But he sets the, I guess, the leadership and the example for the rest of his teammates to follow, and that's why the reason they're still in the game.
I guess there's going to be question marks about Glenn Archer for most of the season when he has a bad match. His 16th and perhaps final season. Has he gone too long? He only needs to play a bad game and the knives will be out.
Well, you play a bad game when you're 21, they say you're young and you're learning. You play a bad game at 29, they say you're too old and you've got to retire. So, look, his experience is there. He's played 290-odd games. He's a premiership player, shin boner of the century, and he's just a wonderful example for the younger players that are coming through. And you do need those senior players to lead the way, show the direction. But when it's time to put your head over the football, as he's done, that's where the young players will look and say, that's what I need to do to carry on the tradition of the Kangaroos Football Club.
He certainly produces a lot that may not be seen on the stat sheets, but makes his teammates work and feel taller, and certainly puts some pressure on the opposition as well. We're impressed there in the second term by Corey Jones. Came out and was a lone forward for them, really.
Well, he certainly was. I mean, 4 goals in a game you'd be very happy with, but to kick him in the one quarter, fantastic. Just, he needs a lot more support from some of the other key forwards in Petrie and Lee Brown. They need to support him in the contested duels, the aerial duels. You see him, he's doing everything at the minute and getting in the right positions. He's having a purple patch, so they'd want to continue that, maybe isolate him in the goal square in this third quarter to get him back in the game.
Simpson, Hale and Wells are the other goal scorers so far for the Kangaroos. So Corey Jones has done a good job. I'm sure Port Adelaide are going to tighten the screws on him in the second half, and the Kangaroos are going to need to find someone else up forward to kick some goals as well if they're going to upset Port Adelaide and continue this domination that they've had against the Power.
Well, as I mentioned, I mean, Lee Brown, Petrie, Swallow, they need to actually support him in that role. Daniel Wells had a very, very good first quarter. A little bit quiet in that second quarter, but I mean, the forwards can only rely on the supply that they get from their midfield, and Daniel Wells, he's just a super player. I mean, Port Adelaide have probably got 3 of those players in Burgoyne and Pearce, but it's just his elusiveness, his ability to read the game. Expecting a big second half from Daniel Wells.
That has been the criticism of Daniel Wells, that he will come in and out of matches and at times does appear to go missing, but if they can get him to play 4 quality quarters each week, then the Kangaroos are going to be a much tougher proposition.
Oh, most definitely, but he needs support. I mean, Brent Harvey's been a little bit quiet, needs to get up and do his usual thing around the midfield and push forward, because he is a very good goal kicker. Shannon Grant, Sinclair, they need to support him in that role. Brady Rawlins, he's been a bit lively. He's a hard player, but I mean, they need to square off if not, and have more possession of the ball and be more effective in their forward line.
Port Adelaide in front by 10 points at the moment. Is Coach Mark Williams happy with this equation?
I think he would be happy in the second quarter. I don't think that they used their forward structure very well in the first quarter. They were just bombing the ball in. In that quarter, they started to pinpoint the ball in, and they were patient across that half forward line. Marnie got involved. He kicked 2 goals. But I mean, he's a live wire, and they've got the type of players that can kick over 10 or 15 yards, 20 yards, and hit their targets in confined areas. And that's the Burgoynes, Pearce. I mean, very good players. And we saw Roden. He had a fantastic last 12 or 15 minutes where he was just pushing up and down the lines, getting a lot of possessions, and kicked himself a goal.
Well, last season when Port Adelaide led at half-time, and that was on 7 occasions, they won every match. They lead the Kangaroos by 10, and we'll have the second half coming at you right after this. Welcome back to AAMI Stadium here. Half-time, and Port Adelaide with a 10-point lead, 8-12, leading the Kangaroos 7-8, 6-4 in that second period. And at one stage, the Power rattled on 4 goals in 7 minutes. They have that explosive ability, Danny Frawley, to rack up goals very quickly.
Well, they have. Burgoyne, the 2 Burgoyne boys, Daniel Pearce, David Roden was terrific in that quarter as well. They've just got plenty of run through the midfield. But look, to the Kangaroos' credit, The pundits were saying this is going to be a whitewash. You know, $5 the Kangaroos were paying at Sportsbet, and Port Power about $1.14. But at the moment, you'd say that Port are favourites to win this game of footy, but you can't deny the Kangaroos have just been at it and at it, Jacko.
Well, it's one thing that the Kangaroos have prided themselves on. Them travelled all parts of the country at times when, you know, they're facing a little bit of adversity, and they've got a few issues off field at the minute, and they just worry about what they can control and go out. And many times they've been out on this oval with surrounding circumstances and pulled off a miraculous win, and they would have been talking about that at half-time. They'd be very happy that they're, you know, within striking range, and they've got a forward that's presenting and kicking goals. So this quarter, you'd be wanting to get it down to him and telling the other players to support him.
Well, the Kangaroos just down by 10 points at the moment. Sometimes they don't get enough credit for what they achieve on the road. Statistically, they are the best road team in the AFL, although having said that, of their away games last season, they only won 2, and one of those was at the MCG, but their other one was here at AAMI Stadium. And as we've mentioned throughout the telecast, their record against Port Adelaide, it is the most dominant rivalry in modern day football. 13 out of 16 they've won, and Chad Corns is revving up Port Adelaide here. They played well, but still give the impression though they could play a little bit better.
I think they've got another couple of gears to go, Port, but the Kangaroos, they need more options. Corey Jones, lone hand in that second quarter, kicking 4 goals. I notice they've just got Aaron Edwards and Hale up there. Lee Brown's another player they need to get into the game. Obviously, Shannon Grant and Harvey probably haven't had the options to use up there, but if they can get someone else to kick some multiple goals, they're right in this game. And I'm sure Mark Williams will be saying, well, let's make sure we lock down Corey Jones. We can't afford him to kick any more, and that should open it up, hopefully, for a guy like Hale or an Edwards. Edwards led hard in that first quarter. We haven't seen a lot of him, but they need more options. And unfortunately for the Kangaroos up the other end, Jacko, they have got the options. They've got the smaller type players. When the ball hits the ground, they look really dangerous. Damon White's the tall player. We've got Lade and Brogan going in and out of the game. But for mine, I'm still going with Port, but the Kangaroos, they're going to be right up into this game, up to their ears.
Certainly, and conversely to that, I mean, it'd be interesting to see at Port Adelaide how they approach this third quarter and how they play it. Similarly, obviously, expecting not that they're kicking the ball like they did in the first quarter, bombing it up, giving themselves every opportunity for the small coming forwards.
Second half gets underway from AAMI Stadium, and Dean Brogan flies high for Port Adelaide. Fresh air shot from Kane Corns. Stalemate in the centre circle at the moment, the biggest margin we've seen at the match in the match so far. 17 points in favour of Port Adelaide. The Kangaroos are led by 11 points deep into the first term.
See Kane Corns again all over Daniel Wells.
Kangaroos able to win the ball here through the agency of Daniel Harris, and now there's an opportunity for Daniel Wells from just outside 50. Didn't get great connection with it. David Hale kept it alive. Pressure supplied by the Port Adelaide defence at the moment, and they've scrambled the ball clear, but still some work to do. And now it's Dominic Cassisi. Looks up, goes to the outer wing, just on the defensive side. Good work again there coming from Shannon Watt. An opportunity for Shannon Grant. They combine and work the ball forward, but taking a relieving mark, Chad Corns.
Well, that hurts because Lee Brown was on. Just had to lower his vision a little bit more, Shannon White, and Brown has a shot on goal. Game of inches sometimes, AFL footy.
Opportunity for Port Adelaide now, running onto the ball. Stephen Salopek has Archer to contend with. Goes quickly to Ebert. Shut down on that occasion by Michael Ferrito, but Logan goes back to Ebert. Not a lot of pressure on here, and he drills the centre. Nice start to the third term for Port Adelaide.
I just want to say, Russell Ebert, just so impressed his ability to bounce off from a contest like that. His second and third effort, I mean, the way he just picked himself up was just fantastic.
Well, that's the difference. The ball goes in, and it's a little bit skew-if, and Chad Corns marks it. It's not pretty football. They get the ball in there, then all of a sudden the ball hits the ground and they're still in the game because of that leg speed. That's a terrific advantage to have, not only to win the ball and kick goals from marks, but they're probably going to be the best side in the competitions this year, kicking goals from play because of that leg speed issue.
Brett Ebert kicked 2 goals for Port Adelaide in the first quarter, both from marks. Gets one on the run here to get us underway in the third term. The Kangaroos working hard. Daniel Harris doing a good job for them as they clear the ball to the hot spot once more. Lee Brown couldn't control it. David Hale working hard against multiple defenders. And he's been given a free kick.
He's pulled one out here, and Hale, look, he was over the ball. All the Port defender had to do was maybe stand over and force Hale to hit it out, because that's the rule. But just a bit overzealous here. I think it was Toby Thurston's was just into his back. A little bit Tiggy Touchwood. Normally they let that go. Michael Wilson it was. Gee, there wasn't a lot in it because Wilson was already on his knees.
Well, he did, yeah, in the middle of his back there, there's a push. Yeah, it's a tough one, especially in front of goal, but under the interpretation, it is there.
Kangaroos got their first goal through a free kick to Adam Simpson. And here's David Hale getting the benefit of a free kick, and he too gets the job done as the Kangaroos hit back. Well,
that's what Dean Laley wants, more options. Wasn't probably the way he wanted to kick the goal there. We see Hale just hatching the football. Michael Wilson on his knees. Look, in the letter of the law it was there, but sometimes they let that go. Michael Wilson should have done the first thing secondary. He put his hand up after he pushed him in the back. But they need more options. If Hale can just stand up, him or Brown can kick a couple, it really will put the Port Adelaide defence under the pressure, because there's no Darryl Wakelin out there.
David Hale with his second goal of the game. 10-point margin in favour of Port Adelaide. Centre square infringement, and the Kangaroos are going to get first use of the ball here.
Against Dominic Cassisi there, just a bit too eager to get in.
McIntosh sends it long. Thurstons knocks it away from David Hale. Goes back for seconds. Cassisi involved as well. They bring the ball out wide with Salopek. Looks up, has numbers. Brogan working hard for him in tandem with Sean Burgoyne.
Yeah, it's good running from a big man.
Now Peter Burgoyne dances around Daniel Harris with plenty of time and options. Shares it with his younger brother Sean. He goes over the top of Damon White, looking deep for Ebert. Michael Ferrito and Ebert have had a tremendous battle all day.
Well, it was a good contest there. A little bit lucky there for Ferrito, and the ball was kicked. He just put his hand over Ebert's shoulder. We just see it here. You just see his right arm go around his shoulder. The umpires normally play those.
Brogan and McIntosh at it again. Here's Peter Burgoyne lurking dangerously in the forward pocket. And in his comeback game, Peter Burgoyne bangs on the goal for Port Adelaide.
Well, that's their seventh goal kick at Port Adelaide. Talk about X-factors around the competition, Kerr, Judd. But this boy, he's a welcome inclusion back in the Port Adelaide Football Club, because he's just got so much pace. As we see him, he had that ball up at the centre wing here and drifts down into the contest. I mean, the ball had been taken out, but just his positioning and his awareness around goal is just so valuable.
Peter Burgoyne hasn't played since round 14 last year because of a hamstring problem. The most experienced campaigner on the ground for Port Adelaide. His first goal of the game. We get back underway. Almost 6 minutes played in the third term. Cassisi in space. Goes to Sean Burgoyne. Onwards to Salopek. He's left alone, unmolested to the 50. Likes it off the boot, drills it all the way. But it just fades at the last moment. He was celebrating and banged it into the point post, onto the goal post.
It was a great build-up. If they continually run the ball through the middle with hands, the Kangaroos will have to put some desperate tackles on to stop that passage of play.
Here's Salopek again getting involved for Port Adelaide. The Cane Corns. Hand pass intended for Daniel Pearce, scooped up by Peter Burgoyne. Again, he's patient, retreating to Cassisi, who goes laterally. Salopek eventually to the forward pocket where Ebert is under pressure from two defenders, and Kangaroos have scored it over the line.
Well, that's the thing. The Kangaroos are forcing that long 50-metre kick bomb into the top of the square, which gives Ferrito and Watt down there a chance to spoil it. But just need to be more aware of that.
Sean Burgoyne runs into an open goal and gets it for Port Adelaide.
Well, 2 goals from stoppages in 3 minutes to the Burgoyne boys. Now, this is bad defence here. We see Swallows starting on the offensive side. When you've got a leg speed issue, you must stand between your direct opponent and the goals. All Swallow did then was say, all right, I'm going to open up the corridor for you, Sean, and you can run into an open goal. I think when he sees that during the week, Jagger, he won't be too happy with that positioning because he basically had to be goal side to allow Burgoyne to get around him.
Sean and Peter Burgoyne combining here. Early goals for Port Adelaide. Now lead it by 23 points. Biggest margin we've seen in the match so far. 8 minutes done, term number 3. And here's Peter Burgoyne again, bringing his team out of the centre with the assistance of Dominic Cassisi. Work it forward and grabbing a mark low to the ground, Damon White.
Beautiful kick.
Ebert on the charge and has been paid the mark.
Well, there's nothing Ferretto could do with that. Maybe fumbled it, held it enough for mine, but that's impossible to defend against Glenn. When you see a forward lead and they just put the ball out in front at full tilt, there's nothing Michael Ferretto could do there.
Oh, definitely not. And Port Adelaide aware that they're more effective when they play that game. I mean, Peter Burgoyne's turning this game on his terms in this first 5 minutes of the third quarter. Just his ability to get the ball out of the midfield, and then he runs down, and they just got class players to be able to deal with the ball into players such as Ebert.
2 in the first quarter for Brett Ebert. Now he's kicked 2. In fact, he's hit the post as well, just shaving the post.
Well, Burgoyne is on fire. He's had 22 possessions for the game, had 6 at the start of this third quarter, and has a well-earned break. I think the Kangaroos will be happy with Peter Burgoyne off the ground at the moment.
24-point lead for Port Adelaide. And the Kangaroos need to steady here as Glenn Archer works the ball out wide. Hansen goes up looking for Corey Jones, who did all the damage in the previous quarter, but he's shut down.
Well, he's got options marked with this because Burgoyne comes off, then all of a sudden Pearce and Roden go onto the ball. It's just constant speed.
Brogan gets them off and running again to David Roden. Chain of hand passes. Pearce has Chaplin available. Going to run on as well.
Great running, Roden.
Roden started this play. He's going to try and finish it with a goal as well. Right to the goal square. And it's run through for a minor score.
Well, that beats flooding, Jacker, doesn't it? When you run the ball through the corridor with legs and take the opposition on and draw those opponents out, that is very hard to defend against.
Kangaroos come up through the middle of the ground. Hale worked under the ball. Brogan there to clean up. Now White, he looks forward and has Josh Marnie available.
Was led too early there, Ebert.
Now there's not a lot on for Josh Marnie, so he decides to retreat. There's Troy Chaplin. He goes further across the field to Michael Wilson. They'll swing it to the other attacking flank, and here's Toby Thurstons. He works the ball looking for Koshel. Hasn't seen a lot of it so far. And keep it inside. Danger man looming here. Dean Brogan takes the mark.
Well, that's a magnificent passage of play because Marnie had the ball on this side of the ground and then they went in a horseshoe effect around the forward 50. Kicked it to Koshel. He gets the ball, and Brogan, is he having a start to this third quarter, because that's just a magnificent mark from the big man.
Well, you just want your big men to compete, but as you mentioned, the horseshoe effect around that forward 50, Danny, you're quite right. The thing that I've been just so pleased with Port Adelaide's game from the second half last week to this week is their ability and their patience when going forward to find that right option, and when they do it, they finish off effectively.
Dean Brogan sizes up the situation but doesn't like it off the boot. Tugged it to the near side. It's a minor score.
Well, it's a copybook of the first quarter for Port. They're dominating the play but aren't putting scoreboard pressure on by kicking behinds.
Fans thought there was a free kick there for Port Adelaide. In fact, they're going to pay to the Kangaroos. The faithful aren't happy here at Amy Stadium.
Out of the seats for the first game there. We see the supporters not happy with that one.
And Shannon Grant, the recipient. Can't find a target though, and here's Daniel Pearce unloading to Ebert. Ebert on the run, decides to take Ferrito on, and he's paid the penalty. Great tackle. Defensive work from Michael Ferrito. A goal-saving tackle. Petrie to Glenn Archer.
Oh, well done, Surgeon.
Excellent hustle from Jacob Surgeon. Diving full length. There's the free kick that the Port Adelaide fans wanted.
Gee, this is a great tackle for Ferrito. That was a certain goal there, but I think he'd put that one down.
Brent Harvey on the end of the hand pass, shares it with the captain, Adam Simpson. Lee Brown and half forward, just nudged out of it by Chad Corns.
The difference in the passage of play, we see the Kangaroos when they run with hands, and look, it's just a leg speed issue. Port are elite in the speed. They're the quickest side other than the Bulldogs in the AFL. And unfortunately, when you're slow of legs, you have to get the ball a little bit wider out of the corridor because there's less pressure to get the ball outside the corridor.
Dane Brogan getting his hand to it to give Port Adelaide first use of the ball. Pearce, the no-look handball to Sean Burgoyne into the middle team. Brogan joining in here. Jacob Surgeon taking on Brent Harvey. Now they get it out wide, the forward pocket. They're trying to find Damon White. Good work from Archer, but it's still an opportunity here for Port Adelaide. Surgeon from just beyond the 50, underground pass to Pearce. Multiple defenders around him, releases the ball to Logan, and a free kick has been paid to Port Adelaide.
50.
There's always going to be 50.
Yeah, well, I mean, you can be frustrated, but you still got to stay disciplined in your team's scores because they're still within range, but this is where it starts to hurt late in the third quarter. It starts to put the result beyond doubt now for the Kangaroos, and yeah, can't afford those undisciplined acts.
Daniel Pearce, a goal kicker last week against Fremantle, gets his second here against the Kangaroos.
Well, it's a great goal, and you've got to feel for Daniel Pratt a little bit. He's on Pearce, and he thought, well, I've had a pretty good tackle here, and all of a sudden I've been penalised for it, but I've never seen an umpire change their decision yet. Once that decision's made, you will always, all you're doing is flirting with getting a 50. And you can let your frustrations out. Unfortunately, that's disappointing. But gee, just the speed factor again. Sound like a broken record at the moment. Pearce, the Burgoyne's rodent.
Dominant third quarter so far from Port Adelaide. They've taken a 10-point halftime lead and expanded it out to a game-high 32-point advantage. 4 goals to 1 goal straight since halftime. And the Kangaroos with plenty on their plate at the moment. Loose ball, Kasisi grabs hold of it from the centre square. Bangs it forward again. Damon White in a pack, couldn't control it. Here's Marnie, under pressure on that occasion from Matt Riggio, and Glenn Archer trying to relieve the pressure. Has kicked it out on the full.
Well, they're just getting smashed in the clearances at the moment, the Kangaroos. They need to get their hands on the ball.
Marnie and White available. Neither of them able to drag down a mark. Here's Brendan Lade, who's been quiet by his high standards. The shot coming across now. Damon White at the back. Helps it over the line and a rush behind. It hit the post for Port Adelaide.
Well, the possession count now is right in Port's favour. 249 possessions to 182.
16 minutes played, term number 3. Kangaroos haven't had a lot going their way here since half-time. As David Trotter gets him to half forward and finds the open man, David Hale, the goal kicker, earlier in this term, centres the ball up for Jess Sinclair, who plays on. Caught his opponent napping. Jess Sinclair wheels around and has kicked it truly. It's a goal, a much needed one for the Kangaroos.
Well, Jacko just fell asleep there, the player on the mark there for Port, because Jess Sinclair's a left footer. He was always going to wheel and roll on his left foot here. We see Peter Burgoyne just say, oh, I'm disappointed with the mark, but you're still in the game.
Yep. Oh, you just got to you play to the whistle, and I mean, obviously at that time should have known that knowing the opposition's strengths, and we know that Jess Sinclair's a left footer, and he's going to try to get on that predominant side. Much
needed goal for the Kangaroos, provided by Jess Sinclair. 27-point lead in favour of Port Adelaide. Took over 17 minutes played, term number 3, and here they are breaking away out of the centre again. Sean Burgoyne has Ebert on the charge and hits him on the chest.
Well, he's gone to another level, Sean Burgoyne. He had a fantastic year last year, but what I've seen thus far in the first 2 games of AFL season, he's walking through that door of an elite midfielder, Jacko.
Oh, he certainly is. I mean, there's so much rage about Kerr and Judd at the minute over the West, but this boy here, and just great support around him. I mean, it just takes his football to another level, but just his awareness in confined areas to be able to, take on opponents is just fantastic to watch.
Brett Ebert looking at his third, but has sprayed it in this period. That's a minor score for Port Adelaide.
There's not a lot Dean Laley can do either. Look, I think he's coached fairly well today, but it's just a foot race issue. The stall gifts on today, and unfortunately you need to put the Kangaroo players on about an 8 handicap and the Port players on scratch.
There's an opportunity for the Kangaroos. Brady Rawlings looking up, trying to find a marking forward, and coming out and doing a good job of it is Corey Jones. Now Lee Brown is on the charge, but he has 2 to beat. Chad Corns is there, couldn't control it. Loose ball and going down, Lee Thomas. And Port Adelaide will clear as Sean Burgoyne with a bounce. Hands over to Brogan. He dances around Brady Rawlings. Works it forward. Nathan Cracker taking a strong mark.
It was a fantastic grab from Nathan Cracker there. He's under a lot of heat from David Trotter, but just extended the arms, and it was a very strong mark.
Works the ball inside 50, but not with any great effect, and picking off the pass is Michael Ferrito. His handball didn't do any favours for his teammate, though, and cleaning up is Shannon Watt. Out wide they look in search of Aaron Edwards, who hasn't been able to get near it here in his first game for the Kangaroos. Pressure applied on Troy Chaplin, but he was equal to the challenge and hit hard as well. He's still down, taken out. The play goes forward, and here's Tom Logan. His pass left a little to be desired as well. No chance for Josh Marnie. We see Troy Chaplin taking a high knock as the Kangaroos work it to Drew Petrie. Looking for Sinclair. A slow hand pass makes him alter course. Now with a bounce as he looks up. Drives the ball to the 50-metre line for the Kangaroos, but it's all Port Adelaide, and Dominic Cassisi takes the mark.
Just need, a Kangaroo player to compete at the contest. An uncontested mark where there's a pack of about 8 players and no presence from a Kangaroo player. They're killing themselves in that area across that half-forward line.
Tom Logan with it. A left footer formerly on Brisbane's list. And now Josh Marnie. His first game of the season. It's the 8 disposals so far, but has taken 5 marks and kicked a couple of goals. Good return for him. Patient with the ball. Now works it into the pocket. Set Adam Koshel a task there, and the ball trickles over the line.
You're right, Glenn, with that Kangaroos half-forward line. They're workmanlike, but they haven't got anyone there with good lateral movement that can really turn the Port defence around. Like, they all just come straight at the ball, which makes it really predictable and easy for the Port defence.
Sinclair, who's been busy at both ends of the ground here since half-time. Kangaroos off and running. Working it through the middle of the ground, Daniel Wells. Goes even wider. Picks up Lindsay Thomas. His pass touched by Jacob Surgeon. Lee Brown needs help. Good work from Chaplin again. Knocks down the handball. And Surgeon is there to clean up.
Some of his defensive acts have been supreme today.
Kangaroos with another opportunity as Jess Sinclair fires the handball out wide, and they come forward again, and taking a strong mark on this occasion, Lee Brown.
Oh, just an opportunity now. Lee Brown's in the last couple of contests. He's only had the 6 possessions today, and certainly hasn't given them the bite that they anticipated. Opportunity now for him in the last quarter to really exert themselves. I mean, they're only 28 points down. In this game, it looks a little bit more, but they're going to need a lot more from him because he's just not giving the Kangaroos anything up forward.
Goal kicker last week against Collingwood. Lee Brown on a tight angle. Misses to the near side.
Well, Port, they're really, sorry, Jay, the Port, they're playing well, and by all reports, Treadray played a terrific game last week. Throw him into the mix, into that forward line. They're starting to get a finals top 4 forward line.
Michael Wilson works the ball to the centre wing. Dean Brogan all alone. Now looking inboard, has a couple of options. Kasisi, but goes beyond him. The Surgeon coming through again. His Pettigrew, but his disposal lets him down. The Kangaroos will clear, and they'll work it out to Brady Rawlings, who goes quickly. This is Aaron Edwards, a recruit, normally with the West Coast Eagles. Looks inboard. Unable to handle the mark, Andrew Swallow, but bangs it onto the foot, goes forward. Port Adelaide with numbers. Kasisi thought he'd marked the ball, so did the fans, but the umpire didn't see it that way.
Well, I thought he had enough. We'll have a look here on the replay. There he goes. No, good decision.
Yep.
Never controlled the ball for any moment. It was a good spoil in the end by Lee Brown. Good defensive play, and that's what you were talking about earlier, Jacko. At least provide a contest. Now they've got a ball up in their forward 50.
David Hale knocks it down to the captain, Adam Simpson, tucked in on the boundary line. Goes across the face of goal and out of bounds. "15 possessions for Adam Simpson. Kicked the first goal of the match. The Kangaroos could do with one right now as well. Handball from Lindsay Thomas to Harvey. One way, back the other. Sizes up the situation, bangs it to the goal square and splits the centre. An important goal for the Kangaroos, provided by Brent Harvey.
Well, they just need a lot more from their little players. Brent Harvey, quiet game by his standard. Sinclair's been, back and forth, but Shannon Grant, he's only had the 9 possessions. These are their link-up players that carry the ball, and we've already talked about their lack of pace. These guys, when they're up and running and moving the ball, they make Kangaroos look a lot faster, and they haven't had a great impact on the game. So maybe something from here on in after the three-quarter time they can work towards.
3 goals last week for Brent Harvey. Gets his first here. Concluding stages of the third term. 21-point lead in favour of Port Adelaide, who started this period leading by 10 points. Peter Burgoyne going hard at it, getting a good contest. And the free kick has been assessed to Port Adelaide.
Yeah, he's head over the ball, and that's a free kick. Who's playing well for Port as well? Stephen Solopek had the 22 possessions, in and under. We always talk about the leg spur, but he's probably the first possession player for Port. He's played a very good game.
Port Adelaide come wide. Kane Corns goes back to Chaplin. He looks inside 50. Brendan Lade hasn't seen a lot of it so far. Couldn't drag that one down. Cracker, nice hands, getting it to Damon White. Now Lade tackled immediately. Glenn Archer to the captain, Adam Simpson. Work the ball even wider, and that is out of bounds on the full from David Trotter.
What's that leg speed? Referred pressure there on the Kangaroos' defence. Probably a little bit more time than he thought, young David Trotter, but it was just the pressure of Ebert, Cracker, Pearce, Roden.
Centering ball from Chad Corns. Brogan did a good job under pressure there. Tried to find Logan, went between his legs. Andrew Swallow cleans up for the Kangaroos. Comes back to Drew Petrie. Rawlings works it to Jess Sinclair. He's got some space to move into. Works the ball to the half-forward line. Good defensive skills there from Pettigrew. He's keeping Corey Jones out of the equation, but a free kick has been assessed to Lee Brown. Away quickly to Jess Sinclair, and now Shannon Grant. No free kick. Opportunity for Harvey. Works around one defender, gets onto the right foot, and Brent Harvey has kicked back-to-back goals for the Kangaroos.
Well, Brent Harvey, we know he can kick some front and square goals, and that was just a magnificent passage of play there. Should have been a free kick, I think, a little bit early on to Shannon Grant. Normally the umpire pays that with the new rules. Chopped his arms, and we just see Brent Harvey just having a mini purple patch. Back-to-back goals there, and as you talked about, Jacko, need those type of players to come into the game.
Kangaroos have kicked the last 3 goals here and have closed the margin back to 15 points. They were down by as many as 33 midway through this third term. There's still plenty left in this one. Port Adelaide trying to bring the ball out of the centre again, and Daniel Pearce will do so now as he works the left foot. Ebert. Was he infringed? That's the call from the umpire, and Brett Ebert is going to get a free kick.
Just at this case, I mean, you've kicked 3 goals in a row, and you just got to, play to your percentages and your strengths. And no, it's a free kick. You're
just give away 50 here too, boys.
Well, that does hurt. It certainly does hurt. And from your most experienced player on the ground, we've given him a rap all day, but just when it looked like, I mean, they've got within 15 points. If they could have kept that and brought another goal in at 3/4 time, made this game a lot more lively.
Brett Ebert makes no mistake. And Port Adelaide lead by 21 points.
Well, I think Glenn Archer was probably telling the umpire, look, it's a physical game. The hands were in the back, and in the letter of the law, it was always a free kick to Ebert. Unfortunately for Glenn, he just, look, the hands in the back, that's the new rule, Jacker, and I know that we're not talking about the 7s, 80s and 90s. We all know the rule, no. And unfortunately for Glenn, I'm tipping he's saying to the umpire, look, give me a contest. I'm a contest-type player. I need a kick.
Russell Ebert, or Brett Ebert, has 4 goals for Port Adelaide, and Glenn Archer's been dragged from the ground by Dean Laidley.
Well, that's disappointing for Archer. I don't know whether he would do that, because I don't think he was remonstrating in a physical manner. It was just yapping away. He's on the phone now to Dean.
A little over a minute to play in this third term. Kane Corns drives Port Adelaide deep into attack once more. Hell stood and watched the ball hit the ground, and now Shannon Watt relieves the pressure, heading in the direction of Brady Rawlings. Salopek stands off him. Now Jess Sinclair with it. Needs to be good here, and was, to Shannon Grant. Nice handball from him. Petrie pushed as he kicked it, gets it to the half-forward line, and a good running mark has been dragged in by Lindsay Thomas.
Well, I mean, the Kangaroos are still fighting it out. I mean, take that goal back, through the 50-metre penalty, but here they are having another shot on goal, and I think they've won the quarter for themselves. They had that little patch there, and just need more of it, need more players just contributing.
How long has he's run up, you reckon, Jagger? Lindsay Thomas. How far has he gone back off the mark?
He's gone a good 35 metres there.
It's a huge run up.
From Port Adelaide in the SANFL, kicked 5 consecutive points last week against Collingwood, and just snuck that one in for a minor score.
Need to hold on here if they can, the Kangaroos. Look, they've been terrific, really. They haven't stopped trying one iota.
And Port Adelaide happy to see this out. They led by as many as 33 points midway through this third term, but as we get to the final break, it's Port Adelaide with a 20-point buffer. Good fight back by the Kangaroos. Still some life in this.
Yeah, looking forward to the last quarter. The Kangaroos are hanging in, but Port's their class just rising to the top, Jacko.
Well, it certainly has, and I mean, they'd just be a little bit disappointed there because they got themselves back in the game. 15 points would have been a fair estimate of where the game was at. They've broken it out to 21, but Dean Laidley will be just wanting his troops to continue in this last quarter.
Especially those 250s to against Glenn Archer and Daniel Pratt. He took them both off the ground just to say, boys, we just can't afford that. We're in the game, and we'll give Port 2 easy goals.
Port Adelaide with a 20-point lead. We'll have more for you right after this. Sean Burgoyne runs into an open goal and gets it for Port Adelaide. Sean Burgoyne and his brother Peter doing an excellent job for Port Adelaide, and with 1 quarter remaining, they have a 20-point lead, led by as many as 33 points during that third term. Kangaroos with their hands full. Corey Jones with 4 goals, all in the second term. Just not doing enough at the moment to suggest that they're going to reel in Port Adelaide, Danny Frawley.
Well, it's the Burgoyne show at the moment. 45 possessions between them, 3 goals. And look, to the Kangaroos' credit, Jacko, they've done really well, because have a look at the inside 50s there, 54 to 40. If they could be a little bit more proactive, Port, going forward. It was probably a replica of the first quarter. Had their opportunities. But you can't deny the Kangaroos. They've really stuck at their task well. They've had some winners through the middle of the ground, but they just haven't been able to grab another forward to help out Corey Jones.
Well, they've had 6 goal kickers, and one of them is only a predominant forward. Brent Harvey, pinched in the last 5 minutes there, and we were saying that he didn't have a big impact and pops up and kicks 2 goals. You just need more players to come up to the plate. But you mentioned it before, it's just their leg speed and sheer class. They're the two things. The Kangaroos are, they're putting up a fantastic fight, but they're just in over their heads against, arguably 2 of the best players in the midfield going around in the Burgoynes, and haven't they just complemented each other very well?
And also Dean Brogan in that quarter, he proved why he's going to have a great year. We see Mark Williams there talking to his players and troops. He'd be keen for them to make sure they run out the game, because one thing you'll get from the Kangaroos, you'll get a contest. So he would have said to the boys, we need to win this quarter of football.
The Kangaroos kicked 3 of the last 4 goals in that term, and it looked as though Port Adelaide were going to run away with the match. Port Adelaide kicking 5 goals, 6 in that third term. They hit the post twice, Salopek and Ebert, so it could have been a lot worse. They'll start this final term leading by 20 points and be full of confidence.
Well, Salopek, we haven't talked about him a lot, Glenn, but he's been terrific in and under. The 22 possessions, 4 or 5 clearances, first possession player. He's just another young midfielder, has had 3 or 4 seasons under his belt, now showing the fruits of his labour. Well,
we talk so much about the Burgoynes and Daniel Pearce, but as you said, Kasisi and Salopek, they're out of the
surgeon.
Well, Jacob, he's just been very proactive up at half back line and just very hard in and under. So they've just got a lot of players rode, and he's had his 5-minute spells here and there, but they're just got a real fast midfield that's bustling with talent.
Kangaroos only once last season came from behind at 3-quarter time to get the victory. The final quarter begins here at Amy Stadium with Port Adelaide leading by 20 points. Dean Brogan, game working hard, but hustling his way into the equation. Daniel Harris gets it to Sinclair. Now Shannon Grant working the ball out to the wing, looking for the captain, Adam Simpson, who obliges. Up forward, trying to find Brent Harvey, working against Kasisi. That's a good mark. 50-metre penalty has been called on Kasisi as well.
It was just a holding factor there after he took the mark. The instruction is you must allow your player to get off the mark, but he just hung on to him. So Brent Harvey kicks his 3rd goal. Start they needed.
Runs into the open goal uncontested, and the Kangaroos keep themselves in it. We have a 14-point ball game.
Well, he drew the 50 there, Brent Harvey. We see a great mark, but you could just sense, gee, there wasn't a lot in it though too. That's pretty tough, because we see Harvey mark the ball here. Yeah, look, in the letter of the law, Kasisi did grab him after the mark, but he was involved in that marking contest early. So
you can see the umpire say he held his shirt after he took the mark, but I tell you, there wasn't much pressure in that shirt when he pulled it.
Brent Harvey has kicked 3 goals in 6 minutes, bracketed across the 3-quarter time break, and the Kangaroos back to within 14 points after trailing by as many as 33 midway through the 3rd term. Next goal's going to be important. Here's Hamish McIntosh working hard. Likewise, Daniel Harris for the Kangaroos. Well, that's just taken the wind out of Port Adelaide's sails.
Well, it has. We've seen a lot of numbers around the ball at the moment, so the Kangaroos are pretty keen to keep this in nice and tight in the last quarter.
Adam Simpson after the loose ball. Works it downfield. Brent Harvey operating again.
He's their centre forward at the moment, Brent Harvey. They've actually isolated him.
And they're energised in the forward line. That didn't go 15. Call is to play on. Back to Brent Harvey. Surveys his options and looking for the hard-working Daniel Harris, who takes the mark 40 metres out, almost directly in front.
Well, this is a start that Dan Lavey would have asked his troops at 3-quarter time, is to just go for it, roll the dice, and play and try and catch the opposition out. And that's what they've done, and they're having their second shot on goal within 2.5 minutes.
We see Daniel Kasisi coming off the ground. Brent Harvey's direct opponent.
It's poor manning up.
Jacob Surgeon on. That is poor mooning up. Everyone just assumed he's going to have a shot for goal. So Mark Williams quick to pull the trigger and get Kasisi off Harvey and bring Surgeon on.
Daniel Wells kicked a goal in the first quarter for the Kangaroos. He'll shoot from 40, directly in front. He's tugged it to the left-hand side.
Well, that's a let off for Port, because the Kangaroos, you can't deny them, their spirit. They're starting to win their fair share of the ball, but you've got to nail those shots on goal, especially interstate, to keep this crowd at bay.
A little over 3 minutes played in the final term. Nathan Loney, one way then back the other. Handball wasn't a good one. Put Thurston's under pressure, and he still has some work to do. Gets it back to Loney. Fraught with danger, but they get it to Peter Burgoyne. His no-look handball was a little too cute, and the Kangaroos bring it back inside again. Corn's going hard. Surgeon there to clean up, to Chaplin, to Wilson. He looks to go long. David Roden wrestling with Jess Sinclair.
Yep.
And a free kick to the Kangaroos.
Well, David Roden grabbed him first. When he found that he was too far underneath the ball, he turned straight into his opponent, and yeah, the umpire saw that first, which was a good decision.
Damon White off the ground for Port Adelaide, replaced by Brendan Lade, and straight into the action. But can't keep it alive, coming in over the back of Hamish McIntosh.
And Damon White didn't look too good coming off the ground. The trainer's rubbing his hamstrings feverishly there on the boundary line.
Another exciting contest provided by Port Adelaide and the Kangaroos.
Again, we see a lot of numbers around the contest. This is suiting the Kangaroos at the moment. Port just need to be disciplined and pull away from the stoppage here.
Trying to keep it alive unsuccessfully is Lindsay Thomas.
The thing that the Kangaroos can do here is, once they get possession, is do what Port did and be patient with it. Just retain it and play keepies off for a little while, even if you have to go backwards and sideways, because that will frustrate Port Adelaide.
Hamish McIntosh doing a good job. Here's Wells. Has two to beat and does it convincingly. Now Brady Rawlings back to Wells. Oh, excellent work from Stephen Salopek. Smothered it and controlled it in tandem with Daniel Pearce. Can't keep it alive.
Well, it is a good contest now. We see Glenn Archer starting to warm up on the boundary line to come on in this last quarter. But, I mean, there's a lot of players. They're fighting this game out. I see a lot of Kangaroos players getting to each other and showing a lot of enthusiasm. And that's what you want to see them fight this game out.
Port Adelaide have controlled the rucking duels, 29 hit-outs to 12. They can't make anything from that.
And you can't underestimate what happened to the Kangaroos last week. They ran out of legs in the last quarter and squandered a lot of opportunities. So I'm sure during the week, Dean Lately would have been telling his boys, let's make sure we play 4 quarters of hard footy.
Late again, palmed it. The Kangaroos straight to the fall of the ball. Excellent work from Sean Burgoyne. Daniel Pearce unable to keep it alive, and will have another throw in.
It would have been a throw anyway, so boundary umpire saved him there. But gee, they just their combination with the Burgoynes get it and Pearce, they just handball laterally straight away, and they run in rows of 3s and 4s. That's why they're so effective.
A little over 6 minutes played in the final term. Port yet to add to their three-quarter time tally. Took them 13 minutes to score their first goal in the match, but this is looking promising as Michael Wilson feeds Kane Corns. Got a good look at it, able to steady enough distance, but pushes it to the right-hand side. It's a minor score.
The Kangaroos have done well thus far, just trying to deny Port the ball by creating numbers around the stoppages and, first and foremost, using the ball well.
Petrie. Good work between he and Michael Ferrito as they run the ball out of defence. Shannon Watt getting involved as well. Likewise, Brady Rawlings. They're hugging the boundary line to Daniel Harris. Under pressure. Run down by Pearce. Quick hands on that occasion from Lindsay Thomas, who gets one in the back for his trouble. Simpson goes long. Cutting across. Troy Chaplin can't control the mark. Port Adelaide still with some work to do here.
Got to be careful. A couple of the Kangaroos players just darting off at the back of the pack there, going to the goal square, trying to be a little bit elusive, and that's what Brett Harvey's very, very good at it to do. And Simpson, Sinclair, need a few more players. Shannon Grant, just to, roll the dice here and try and, pinch a goal.
Free kick being paid off the ball here. David Hale was kept out of the rucking duel, and he has a free kick.
Toby Thurston's, I thought, was the instigator there. Broden went for the ball, and Thurston's just wanted to shepherd Hale out. So good decision there from the umpire. Just here in the replay, you see Thurston's there with the arm across and denying him a run at the ball. See Brogan there?
No.
Good decision.
Good decision.
David Hale, who kicked goals in the first term and again in the third, lining up here from just outside 50, and he misses to the near side.
Well, they just need to nail them. The last two shots on goal could have really put Port under the pump. Just got to take your opportunity, especially playing interstate.
Kangaroos have done most of the attacking since three-quarter time as Kane Corns comes across to clean up for Port Adelaide. Hand pass wasn't a good one, but Stephen Salopek is there to clean up. Now retreats to Sean Burgoyne, who looks up to the centre wing where he has a free man. It's Dean Brogan. Off and running. Needs to get rid of it soon and does. Inside the 50. Wasn't a good pass intended for Brett Ebert, and it trickles out of bounds.
Well, it's a good result. I mean, there wasn't a forward pushing up, but it's a good result because it's 40 metres out of their goal. They can set up now because the Kangaroos have been dominating the stoppages and the play around the ground. Now, Porter got a valuable chance here to push someone, maybe isolate someone in the goal square, as we see Daniel Pearce going down there.
Lade gets his hand to it again to Cassisi. Kane Corns throws it onto the left boot. And they gain some more meterage.
Just got to be super defensive here, the Kangaroos. Just goal side, touch and feel your direct opponent and beat him to the ball.
23 possessions for Kane Corns. As Lade works at it again. Nice ruck work. The Kangaroos with an opportunity to clear here. Out in the open spaces, the Kangaroos have numbers coming toward the ball. Wells trying to shake Chaplin, lost his footing. Now Port Adelaide with an opportunity. Good contest. And another free kick has been assessed in the direction of the Kangaroos.
Well, it was good play there. He just went low and hard, young Lindsay Thomas, and wore the free kick.
Good diving mark picked up by Aaron Edwards. He's looking short as well and finds Daniel Pratt.
I think they were listening to you, Glenn. They're just using up a bit of the clock here and trying to work the ball down and trying to frustrate the Port defence.
And doing a good job of it at the moment as Petrie hands over to Brady Rawlings to the forward line again for the Kangaroos, and lurking Shannon Grant. Has to give away some metres, looking for an option. Brings the ball inboard. Accurate pass finds Jess Sinclair.
Well, they've got numbers streaming forward now. I mean, momentum has shifted, and the Kangaroos are going to make sure they keep the momentum going their way.
Well, here's a chance from here. He's got a little bit of breeze over his left shoulder. Just a question of accuracy here.
Kicked a good goal in the third term, Jess Sinclair, from right on the 50. It's the distance, but the accuracy eludes him. It's a minor score for the Kangaroos, who are doing all the attacking here in the final term.
Well, they've had the last three shots on goal. Unfortunately for the Kangaroos and their supporters, none of them were a major.
Back underway. Good hands on that occasion from Brent Harvey. Stole it away from Toby Thurston's. Another opportunity for the Kangaroos. Can't beat his man with foot speed. Needs the help of Andrew Swallow, who goes to Shannon Grant. Gets it back again, Shannon Grant. Tucked in on the boundary line, an impossible angle, and he sprays it. It's out of bounds on the full.
One thing with the Kangaroos running now, I mean, something that would have probably identified, the teams that do go to Perth, the following week they do struggle after that road trip as far as running the game out, or they have a flat one. I mean, Port Adelaide, they've played as if they didn't travel to Perth last week, but the last 10 minutes of the third quarter and the start of this quarter just seem to be running a bit out of steam.
Kangaroos dominated here in the fourth term as Port Adelaide looked to relieve the pressure. Up to centre wing. Here's Logan with an opportunity. Ball sits kindly for him. Cassisi working in the middle of the ground. He gets it. Fires it long. Opportunity for Port Adelaide. Good defence again by the Kangaroos, but David Roden.
Oh, great play.
Hands over to Cassisi. He's shut down. Excellent tackle from Daniel Pratt. The Kangaroos really getting a bit between the teeth at the moment. Shannon Watt needs help, provided by Brady Rawlings. Now Petrie. Dominating possession here in the final term. As Sinclair takes them on. Gets it out now to David Trotter. He needs help. Back to Sinclair.
Spare man.
Lindsay Thomas gets around one opponent, steps inside Surgeon. Lindsay Thomas from the 50-metre line goes deep and getting back to take the mark, Chad Corns, but it's a minor score for the Kangaroos.
Well, 4 behinds in a row for the Kangaroos. They're doing all the attacking. They can just sneak a goal in the next couple of minutes. They're right in this game.
11 points the margin in favour of Port Adelaide, who have managed only 1 point so far in 13.5 minutes of action in this final term. Chad Corns goes wide. Chaplin, Loney in fact, over the top to Thurstons. Kane Corns in support. Roden the target up the ground and he accepts the mark.
He's got Lade 1-on-1 in the square.
Lade to the pocket. He ignores that lead. Now needs to go deep. Roden. Brogan couldn't hold the mark and the Kangaroos off and running again. Hand pass put Thomas under pressure. He was equal to it though. Now Sean Burgoyne coming in. But good hands on that occasion from Lindsay Thomas. And he's been called for holding the balls. He dragged it in underneath him. Surgeon has a free man. It's Nathan Cracker. He grabs the mark.
Yeah, that's a tough rule. Made all the play there, Lindsay Thomason.
Yeah.
That is the letter of the law, but he was hard at it. And I think Dean Laylor will be too critical of Lindsay there because he just threw himself in there at the contest. Unfortunately, you just see him drag the ball in. And once you do that, if you don't, the ball doesn't escape, you're in trouble.
David Roden takes the mark as Cracker hands off. And he has an opportunity to extend Port Adelaide's lead. They need some breathing space at the moment.
We just noticed Mark Williams sense this run-on by the Kangaroos, and Peter Burgoyne, who's been on the bench for the whole entire of that 5 or 6 minutes, has just come back on the play.
And this will hurt because the Kangaroos have kicked 4 behinds. If Roden kicks this, it'll really hurt the Kangaroos.
David Roden for his new team comes in, and that is coming back, and David Roden gets his second goal for Port Adelaide.
Gee, that hurts. The Kangaroos have had all the momentum the last 10 minutes, Jacko, and they've scored 4 behinds. If 2 of those that have been goals, they'll be right in the game. If there is, they don't. It goes down the other end, and David Roden kicks his second goal for the match. He's had the 15 possessions. That's a bit of a deflating effect. When you see continually the ball being pumped in, you get points. It really does sap your confidence.
1 goal in the second term for David Roden, another here after 15 minutes of the final term. And it's a 17-point lead for Port Adelaide. Roden into the centre of the ground, getting his hands on it to Sean Burgoyne, to Surgeon. Now it's Kane Corns looking up. Working hard for him is Peter Burgoyne, who takes the mark in front of Michael Ferrito.
Well, that's just a magnificent kick. He just put the ball out to space, and Peter Burgoyne did the rest. Not one thing Michael Ferrito could have done there, because he forced him wide, but the kick was absolutely lace out.
One of only 4 players in this match who were there in day 1. For Port Adelaide, it's Peter Burgoyne lining it up. He kicks from on the 50. He's got the legs, he's got the accuracy. The fans are excited because Peter Burgoyne has given his team a 23-point lead.
Well, John, it's the Burgoyne day because you got Sean Burgoyne having 26 possessions, 2 goals, 1. And his older brother said, "Okay, young fella, what you can do, I can do better. I'm going to have 26 possessions and I'm going to snag 2. So that is an unbelievable. They've had 52 possessions between them and kicked 4 goals, 1. Gee, that's some sort of partnership there. And the speed, again, is just the big difference in this game of football.
17.5 minutes played in the final term. 23-point buffer in favour of Port Adelaide after the Kangaroos had closed to within 11. Back-to-back goals from David Roden and Peter Burgoyne has given Port Adelaide a good break. Simpson hits the ball up the ground. Wells shut down. Good defensive work again by Sean Burgoyne. Here's Kane Corns running through the centre of the ground. One bounce. Now looks for a pass. Peter Burgoyne couldn't hold on. Daniel Pearce joins in. Numbers for Port Adelaide. Peter Burgoyne works it up to the danger zone. Brogan will shepherd here. David Roden, the live wire, will get a good look at it. Takes on the bigger opponent, now has to retreat, and Port Adelaide with an opportunity, but it's a minor score for Damon White.
It's a great luxury to have David Roden just come off the bench. Just had another gear up his sleeve, just played off his direct opponent and just handballed out, but unfortunately Port couldn't kick the goal.
7.5 minutes to play. Time running out for the Kangaroos. They're desperate to score as they work the ball inside their 50. Shannon Grant gets it to his teammate Corey Jones. He's been shut down since kicking 4 goals in the second quarter. And here's Tom Logan. Keep it alive, unfortunately, for Port Adelaide. Daniel Pearce unable to do so.
John, your comment was spot on. Corey Jones kicking 4 goals in the second quarter. Someone else had to step up because I'm sure Mark William and the defenders would have identified that. So make sure he doesn't jump into it, and more importantly, no one else.
Kangaroos with another opportunity here. As Adam Simpson scoops up the ball, gets it to Daniel Harris. He's been busy all day, and the pass is a good one as he finds Shannon Grant. David Hale calling for it quickly, goes in that direction. Just couldn't hold the mark low to the ground. Thurston's getting plenty of treatment at the moment. And a stalemate. And Port Adelaide will be happy with that.
Well, it was a good kick from Shannon Grant. Unfortunately, Hale couldn't get there. Took his time getting up there, David Hale.
Shannon Grant couldn't reel it in, nor could Jacob Surgeon. Kangaroos working hard. Here's Corey Jones with it now. Is muscling the ball forward a little further. Brent Harvey retreating away. Chad Corns looking for a free kick against Lee Brown. Couldn't get one. Brent Harvey dangerous in this situation. Pops it onto the boot, and Brent Harvey has 4 goals.
Well, he's made something out of nothing, Brent Harvey. He's had a quiet first half, but to his credit, you can't deny a very good play. He's had the 21 possessions, kicked 4 second half goals. So it was Corey Jones showing the first half, Brent Harvey in the second. But they've probably been the 2 forwards who have looked dangerous all game. And again, the Kangaroos, they just keep at it and at it. I'll take a lot of positives out of this game, win, lose or draw.
Brent Harvey has kicked the last 4 goals for the Kangaroos. 18-point ball game as Sean Burgoyne tries to wrestle his way through the centre of the ground, shut down by Daniel Harris. Opportunity for Adam Simpson. Plenty of space to operate in. Fires from just outside 50. Chaplin doing the spoiling for Port Adelaide. Here's Shannon Grant taking on Loney unsuccessfully. Kept alive. Aaron Edwards trying to make something happening. Lee Brown. Also Archer into the fray. Wheels around onto the left leg, and the mark has been taken in spectacular fashion by Lindsay Thomas.
Well, what a magnificent passage of play. They just kept the ball alive, the Kangaroos, and it took the veteran, Glenn Archer, just to play a disciplined style of play, and we see him just kick it to the hot spot, and Lindsay Thomas did the rest. Directly in front, 20 out. Good strong mark there from Lindsay Thomas.
Played with Port Adelaide in the SANFL. 5 consecutive points last week. Gets his first goal for the Kangaroos. And it is only 2 goals the difference.
Well, they're still in this game right up to their ears, the Kangaroos. And you just sensed all game that Port were just going to break the game open. But you just cannot deny the Kangaroo spirit. And their better players are all getting a piece of the ball now. We see Simpson, Harris, Wells, Archer's gone up forward now. Harvey's having a purple patch in the second half. This is a crucial centre bounce for both teams.
Lindsay Thomas with the goal. 2 in a minute for the Kangaroos. And just 12 points separates these teams. Almost 23 minutes played in the final term. Brogan trying to work it free is Adam Simpson for the Kangaroos. Daniel Harris in support. He's been tireless today. Brent Harvey joins in late to Harris. They work the ball outside. An opportunity now, and Harvey looking for a lead and finding it. Coming out hard, Aaron Edwards kicked 100 goals in the VFL last season. Is he about to kick his most important goal in the AFL?
No doubting that, John. And every 50-50 ball at the moment, a Kangaroos player is coming up with, and that would be disappointing Mark Williams at the moment. They are running the Kangaroos.
Aaron Edwards with an opportunity as the Kangaroos look to build. He's got the distance, he's got the accuracy, and the Kangaroos keep coming. It's a one-goal game here, 23 minutes played in the final term.
Well, it's Brent Harvey again. See the 50-50 ball, we just keep coming out, but Harvey's run. He's already had 2 opponents taken off the ground, and he is having one hell of a second half. He's kicked 4 goals, and he's had 15 possessions in this second half. He's the danger man. They've got Surgeon on at the moment. Where the Kangaroos are winning now is around the stoppages, especially the centre clearances. This is a super important centre clearance for Port.
Kangaroos have kicked 3 goals in 4 minutes. Trail by just 6 points. They were down by as many as 33 midway through the third term. Hamish McIntosh and Team Brogan go at it once more.
Well, Mark Williams is starting to throw some players behind the ball. If we have a look at Port's forward line, they've only got the 2 players, Daniel Pearce and Sean Burgoyne, in their forward 50.
Almost 25 minutes played in this final term. Brett Ebert up the ground trying to make something happen for Port Adelaide. Roden goes with a left foot deep into the Port Adelaide forward line. Daniel Pearce isolated here, 1 out against Brady Rawlings. Play on is the call. Daniel Pearce gets inside Brady Rawlings, trying to draw a free kick. Getting no love from the umpire, and it's Jess Sinclair who relieves the pressure for the Kangaroos. Hanson with his problems. Strong tackle from Port Adelaide. Cracker. Good depth with the kick. Brett Ebert looming, and at the back grabs the mark against Matt Riggio.
Well, how good is Brett Ebert overhead? I'm not sure how tall he is, John, but I'm tipping he's not taller than 5'10". He is an excellent mark. He's one of the best marks of the AFL game for a player of his height that I've ever seen. He is just absolutely unbelievable overhead.
178 centimetres. Brett Ebert looking at his 5th goal. Bangs it through and buys some breathing space for Port Adelaide. Almost 26 minutes played here. They lead by 12 points.
Well, 5 goals to Brett Ebert. Michael Wilson, fantastic tackle. Tackles create turnovers. Turnovers, you've normally got a one-on-one contest, and that's what we got in this situation here. And we just see Brett Ebert there just work his player under the ball, and to kick 5 goals for a player of his height, kicking 3 last week, 8 marks. One of the best marks I've ever seen for a 178 centimetre player, John.
2 goals in the first quarter, 2 in the third, and the most important one here deep into the final term. We've played 26.5 minutes. Port Adelaide lead it by 12 points. Tremendous contest, good fight back by the Kangaroos, and they're still going strong as Adam Simpson fires them forward. Archer goes off the ground intelligently for Brent Harvey, who's done it all here in the second half. His kick across the face of goal. Dominic Cassisi there, and in tandem with Chad Corns cleans up for Port Adelaide, and now Sean Burgoyne gets into the back of his opponent Matt Riggio. It goes unwhistled, and Burgoyne will drive his team out of trouble and up into their forward 50 with Daniel Pearce working hard against Brady Rawlings. Jess Sinclair with problems. Done a good job to hold it up for the moment. For Port Adelaide, as Ebert snaps, has it blocked by Shannon Wadden out of bounds. 27.5 minutes played. They'll be happy with that.
Yeah, they will be happy for a ball up and a stoppage all over the ground now, Port.
Kangaroos need to move it quickly. Jess Sinclair taken down. Roden working hard. Ferrito gets the handball out and the Kangaroos come to centre wing. Damon White there for Port Adelaide. Archer for the Kangaroos. Port Adelaide with numbers. Chaplin to Corns. Now Damon White took a bounce when it wasn't really on. Has put Surgeon under pressure. He stays with it though. Got the ball out quickly. And swinging around, Michael Wilson knocks the ball down into the forward line. And a strong mark has been taken by Nathan Cracker.
Well, he started this marking situation behind his direct opponent and just had a great vertical leap. He's got long arms, and that's just a magnificent passage of play. Just force the ball forward here, Port. Just for the sealer case.
Nathan Cracker to 64 kilograms. Kicked a goal last week against Fremantle and gets another. That is enough for Port Adelaide to get across the line. They lead by 18 points at the 29-minute mark.
It's been a fantastic game of football. There are 32 goals scored, and you'll take that every day of the week. I've really enjoyed today's game. Both sides have been super hard at it. It's just been the finishing skills of Port probably in the difference in their leg speed. But we just see Cracker there take a great mark over Pratt. Started that marking situation behind his direct opponent. Pratt looked for the body. Cracker didn't want to give it to him, just had the lateral movement to take a great mark.
Port Adelaide have withstood a brave fight back by the Kangaroos and are playing like winners at the moment. 29.5 minutes played in the final term. Michael Wilson coming across to relieve some pressure. Kane Corns works it up the ground where he finds Cracker again. From Claremont, nephew of Phil and Jim, he works it forward. David Roden's working hard, did all the hard work, then spilt the chest mark. Michael Ferrito looked as though he'd infringed Roden. It goes unwhistled. Kangaroos working hard to bring it out of defence, but it's all going to come to naught for the Kangaroos. They've been brave. And they continue to fight. As Aaron Edwards grabs the mark, goes long with the kick to the goal square. And coming across to take relieving mark is Chad Corns. Well, Port Adelaide have withstood a fight back from the Kangaroos, and for the first time since their premiership year in 2004, they win their first 2 matches of the season. And Port Adelaide get home in the final analysis by 18 points.
Magnificent game of football, Case, from both sides. Port were absolutely brilliant all game. You've got to admire the Kangaroos, though. Full of courage, come over here and give themselves a fantastic chance. A lot of positives to take out of the Kangaroos game, but it's all Port, just with the run, the carry, the multiple goal kickers. We see Ebert there on the screen kicking 5. You've got Pearce 2, Roden 2, the Burgoynes 2 each. Gee, where does it stop? And to add to that, Warren Treadray back into the mix next week.
They have got some guns. Full credit to the Kangaroos, though. Down by 33 points midway through the final term, through the third quarter. Fought back bravely. To the 23-minute mark of the final term, it was one straight kick the difference. A strong finish from the runners at Port Adelaide have got them across the line by 18 points.
The Kangaroos just need a tall forward to take a grab. Aaron Edwards showed a little bit in the second half, taking 6 marks, but it was left to Harvey, the crumbing goal kicker, 4 in the second half, and Corey Jones, the mid-range forward. But the Kangaroos desperately need a guy that's going to get them out of jail, a get-out kick that they can really rely on to give a really strong contest there. Hale, Petrie, McIntosh are all tried there, Lee Brown, but they just need to be a little bit more consistent in their efforts up on that half-forward line.
5-goal haul from Brett Ebert. And Glenn Jakovic has got Sean Burgoyne to tell us about this victory.
Thanks very much, boys. Sean, they kept coming at you, the Kangaroos, but a good win in the end.
Yeah, good win. You know, these guys have beaten us a lot of times in the past. You know, we knew they were going to come at us because they always do. They're a fighting team, and, you know, to the credit to our boys, we've got a lot of young players in there, and we stood the challenge and were able to kick in the end.
A welcome return by your brother. Obviously had an injury with his hamstring, but he certainly, with yourself, set you alight in the midfield with young Daniel Pearce.
Yeah, it's good to have him back. You know, he provides that zip as well and experience, and have Josh Marnie back as well, another experienced head. And, if they keep playing well and the other boys, it makes it a bit hard for opposition to tag everyone. So happy to have him back in.
Good run from your half-back line. Surgeon in particular is a young player that's developed over the last couple of years. I think it's his 3rd year now, but certainly amongst the possessions today and a real in and under player.
Yeah, he's a great young player. He brings a lot of enthusiasm and pace to the ball, and Mark encourages all young players to run off, create, and you can really see that from watching.
The pace of your midfield's, it's pretty scary at times with yourself, your brother, and young Daniel Pearce. Obviously, something that the forwards like enjoying leading up to you.
Yeah, well, pace, usually catches oppositions offside, so we encourage that. Play on quick, run the ball, and forwards would want every week. And having Treaders back in next week hopefully would add to the forward line's potency.
Well done, mate. Enjoy the game. Well done.
Thank you.
Sean Burgoyne there with Glenn Jakovic. Had 27 possessions. His brother Peter had 28. Kane Courts had 28 as all. Just had a little too much run for the Kangaroos, Danny.
Well, they did. The Burgoyne boys between them had 55 possessions and kicked 4 goals. So that's a great luxury for Mark Williams to have. And, of course, the back line. Michael Wilson, he led the way down there. Brogan was terrific in the ruck. And, of course, their forwards, they all chipped in for numerous goals.
Port Adelaide by 18 points. We'll be back to wrap it up right after this. Port Adelaide's #1 ticket holder there, David Koch from Sunrise, joining in the song, and Port Adelaide winning by 18 points in a very, very tight affair here. Just 1 goal the difference at the 23-minute mark of the final quarter, but they bought some breathing space with some late goals, and they'll be very happy to get out of jail there against the Kangaroos, Danny Frawley.
It was a magnificent game of football, and we have a look at the match stats here. Inside 50, 66 to 52. Disposals, 355, fairly even across the board. Probably uncontested possessions. That's just a speed factor there, and some more uncontested marks. Clearances are very close. Kangaroos and Port, they were both hard at it, but it was just the class factor in the end, the multiple goal scorers that Port had. The Kangaroos had to rely on Corey Jones and Brent Harvey to score their goals, where Port had numerous options.
37 scoring shots to 29 in favour of Port Adelaide, but it was always a good contest right from the get-go here. And the Kangaroos, well, again, they were very brave, but again, they have come up a little short here, and that puts a little more pressure on Dennis Laidley and his team, on Laidley and his team.
Yeah, look, they take a lot of positives out of this game. It was 4 quarters. Last week they only played 3. But the speed factor, you talk about the Burgoynes, they kicked 2 goals. Then you've got Josh Marnie chipping in for 2, Dave Roden, Daniel Pearce kicking 2, and then Brett Ebert kicking 5. So they've had 6 players kicking multiple goals, where the Kangaroos, on the other hand, only had the 2 players with multiple goals in Corey Jones and Brent Harvey. And Kangaroos desperately need a tall player to stand up and take a big grab. Lee Brown, Hale, McIntosh, these type of players, they were found wanting today, but when the ball hit the ground at the other end at Port, they were just electric.
And I'm sure their coach Mark Williams is very happy he's standing by with Glenn Jakovic.
Thanks very much, boys. Mark, 2 from 2. You must be happy with the start.
Yeah, it's a great start. We talked about a bit of a revolution happening at the club, and we're putting a lot of young players in halfway during last year, and it's really paying off now. And obviously, all our supporters, we got 25,000, which is a great crowd for a Easter Sunday. And next week it's a home game against the Crows. So we'd love to think it's full, and we'd love to think that everyone's jumping on board now.
There's always a thought that teams that travel to Perth, their next game that they play, they tend to struggle a little bit because of the travel factor. It didn't seem with your boys. They fought it out with the Kangaroos, fighting them all the way down to the wire.
Yeah, I still think that there was it was a real battle of the mind out there. It was hot conditions again. That's 2 weeks in a row, and we really have to keep them fresh this week, because I think coming back from Perth, a lot of it's to do with how hot it is over there.
Mark Williams, Sean Casey here.
John.
Another great performance by Brett Ebert, a marking forward. He continues to impress.
Yeah, look, he's had a wonderful pre-season. He's really stepped up as far as owning the forward line. He's working closely with Jason Cripps and they're getting great results.
Mark, congratulations on the win. Lots been talked about the Burgoynes, Daniel Pearce, Josh Marnie. David Roden, he's kicked the 5 goals in the first 2 games. What have you said to David? He looks a completely different player.
Look, he's a person that needs a little confidence, and that's going really well. Obviously, working with our Indigenous players is fantastic for him. We've got such an array of them, and they've got some special talents. And even to see Nathan Cracker just take that last mark and kick that last goal to really settle us down was fantastic for an 18-year-old. So it showed a lot of poise.
Kangaroos kept coming though, Mark. Just a goal the difference at the 23-minute mark of the final quarter. They have such an impressive record against Port Adelaide. No doubt you were getting a little nervous.
Yeah, it was a little counting down the clock for sure. I thought halfway during the third quarter we could have been in front by 10 goals. Brett marks one and plays on again the goal square, and we just didn't quite get exactly what we wanted from our entries inside 50. But to the players' credit, they kept at it, and there was a lot of free kicks going each way, and that kept the flow of the game going, I think. And we had to fight it all the way to the end. It was a great effort for our players.
Mark, and you might get more productivity out of your forward line next week with the return of hopefully Warren Treadray against the Crows.
Yeah, look, he played particularly well last week, so we'll see how it goes, see how he pulls up. I thought Chad Corns had his best game for the year for sure. It was right back to his absolute best, and that was fantastic for us as well. And as you said, it was great to have Peter back in the group. A lot of speed, a lot of poise, and just racked him up. So that was great.
Congratulations, Mark. Thanks very much for your time.
Good on you guys.
Mark Williams, Victoria's coach of Port Adelaide. They win by 18 points here over the Kangaroos, and we'll have more for you from Amy Stadium right after this. Welcome back to Amy Stadium. The Kangaroos led by 4 points at quarter time, Port Adelaide by 10 at the half, and Port Adelaide have run out 18-point victors here over a brave Kangaroos. They fought back to within 1 goal deep into the final quarter, but Port Adelaide, with their plethora of stars, just able to steady the ship, and Mark Williams has had a lot of success with this Indigenous component in his team, Danny.
And they're all speedy players. The Burgoyne boys, Daniel Pearce, thrown in David Roden as well. Josh Marnie comes back from injury. It's all positives. He'd take 2 from Love after 2 games straight away. And Sean Burgoyne, he was the game breaker in the first half. He was just absolutely sensational. His ability to take the opposition on, but not only that, have a look at his foot skills. Just puts it out in front on a plate for his teammates. And when he gets the ball like this, running through the middle of the ground, I tell you what, as a forward, you'd be starting to lick your chops because he just puts it lace out every time.
Great foot skills, excellent speed. And added to the captaincy or the vice-captaincy list here at Port Adelaide this season, a reward for his efforts. He's maturing as a player, and Mike Sheehan considers him maybe the player to chase down Chris Judd as the best in the competition at the moment.
Well, not only that, if he's having a quiet day, and he's not having it at the moment, he started his career as a backman, so Mark Williams has got the opportunity to throw him down back if he's getting tagged. At the moment, he had a bit of a free rein there today. He won't get that every week, but such an important player for the Port.
And a great tandem with his brother as well. Peter making his first appearance since round 14 last year. Missed 12 games because of a hamstring problem. What a way to bounce back.
Unbelievable. Had 1 more possession than his younger brother. He had 28.
I'm sure you'll let him know about it too.
He'll let him know it tonight in the aftermatch. But he kicked 2 goals as well. And just his ability in traffic. We see there through traffic the way he just shreds the opposition with his leg speed and his vision and his hands. And again, we see the finishing ability of the Burgoyne boys. Like Peter Burgoyne, he's gone to another level as well. And it's all positive support at the moment because their run and carry and their ability to support each other is first class.
6 multiple goal kickers for Port Adelaide. We saw last week they had 4 players who kicked 3 goals apiece, whereas for the Kangaroos, well, they relied on too few today. And in the second period, it was Corey Jones who stepped up to the plate. He kicked all 4 of the Kangaroos' goals in that second quarter.
He was on fire. He played a lone hand in the first half, Corey Jones, and that's a great effort for a player, about 185 centimetres. Not your typical power forward. He crafted his goals. He took a beautiful grab, as we see here. He kicked a couple from play, but he was their only player up forward that looked like kicking a goal. And The Kangaroos desperately need someone about 6'4", 6'5" to really take the pressure off Corey Jones.
And of course, they have lost Nathan Thompson, Lee Harding, their two leading goal kickers from last season, and that puts a lot of pressure on the likes of Corey Jones. And he stepped up today, and then Brent Harvey late in the game as well, but he just wasn't in the game enough in the first half for the Kangaroos.
But it's going to be hard going into games week in, week out, expecting Corey Jones to win the game off his own boot. You know, Dean Laley would have taken 4 goals from Corey Jones every day of the week, because he's that type of player. He's a half-forward, mid-range player, and if he can have that output, but they just need a more consistent effort from their other forwards.
Well, the Kangaroos blew some chances at the start of the final quarter as well, where they kicked 4 points and 1 out of bounds on the full. They had an opportunity to get a lot closer than they did.
Look, you've got to take your chances into state, and we see Hale missing a shot here. Jess Sinclair's normally a very good kick. And look, they kicked 4 points in a row, and if they had snagged 2 of those as majors, they would have really put Port under the pump. They weren't able to convert, and of course the ball goes up the other end. We see Nathan Cracker there just give the ball out in front to Dave Roden for just about the sealer. That one was the one that really did hurt the Kangaroos, because they dominated the play the previous 6 minutes before that.
They really had a lot of it and just couldn't find the conversion that they were after, and that must be heartbreaking stuff for Dean Laidley, already under some pressure, but to see that happen again, whereas for Port Adelaide, well, they had a great performance from their Brett Ebert up in the forward line again, finishing with 5 goals, and he's a hard player for opposition teams to match up on.
Well, he certainly is. They had 6 multiple goal scorers, but Ebert, the leading goal scorer on the ground, kicking 5, and as we talked about, 178 centimetres. Normally you'd expect a player of that height to kick all these goals from play, but Ebert, as we see here, kicks them from marks. We see a ground level goal here, just great recovery for a player of his ability to get up and kick that goal, but 70 to 80% of his goals are scored like this, contested marks from a player of that height. He was 1 out in the square with, you know, the last half, and they left him 1 out, and why not? When you can take a grab like that, he is absolutely unbelievable mark.
Well, back in the 1970s, there was an Ebert playing for North Melbourne or the Kangaroos, but the one here today, Brett Ebert, got the job done for Port Adelaide. He was one of the stars. We take a look at the top 10 possession getters, and Peter Burgoyne and Kane Coynes sharing that with 28 apiece. Sean Burgoyne, 27. Brent Harvey, the best for the Kangaroos, with 26.
Yeah, well, he kicked 4 second half goals. Brent Harvey was terrific. Stephen Salopek, we talk about the leg speed of Port, but Salopek's that guy that's in and under. He's real workmanlike. He had 25 possessions. Look, Adam Simpson, the skipper, led from example. Surgeon out of the back half was absolutely sensational. Daniel Wells, his first quarter was absolutely brilliant. Had the 10 possessions, finished with 23. Just needs to play 4 quarters of footy.
Port Adelaide have been accused of overusing the ball in the past, but when you have so many efficient players who are accurate by hand and by foot, it's no surprise they rack up so many possessions.
Look, when you get Treadway back as well, they've got to get out kick. In the first quarter and the start of the third quarter, they continually bomb the ball long, but when they lowered their eyes and hit those smaller type players up, they were terrific. And throw in Treadway, who you can afford to get out kick, because he's one of the best marks in the competition, and their captain. By all reports last week, he kicked 7 goals, and I'm sure Mark Williams will be looking at his name and say, will I put it on the board next week, because they've got the showdown next week against the Crows, and I'm tipping by Thursday night you'll see the big number 16 put there at centre forward.
Oh, he's going to have trouble keeping him out of the lineup, that's for sure, with a big match here in Adelaide, which you will see here on Fox Sports. Let's tell you about another match underway as we speak, because while we had a good contest here between Port Adelaide and the Kangaroos, there is a very good contest going on at the moment between Essendon and Fremantle.
Well, what a magnificent cracking match that is, and Matthew Lloyd back in the team. What a great player to have. Stanton McPhee getting plenty of the ball, and of course Fremantle having some multiple scorers with Tarrant and Matthew Pavlich, which is fantastic.
So Port Adelaide have won their first 2 games, Brisbane have won their first 2 games, and of course the West Coast Eagles have won their first 2 games. As a proud Victorian, Danny, are you a little concerned that the pattern is developing again here?
Well, not really, John. Look, it's great to see. There's some exciting football here today. I was wrapping the game of football out here today. I think a lot of people came to this ground and watched it on television at home, expected a 1-horse race, but the Kangaroos, they were terrific. They would take a lot out of this game. They'll win some games of footy before too long. I've got no doubt in that.
And of course, so much pressure on Dean Laidley, the Herald Sun, talking up that maybe Michael Voss is the man to go down and take the job away from Dean Laidley at the end of the season. Of course, Wayne Carey has been on that boat as well. And for Dean Laidley, who works so hard at his job and to get so close again in a big important match, it must be heartbreaking.
Who'd be a coach, Case? who would want to coach league football? Look, he did a terrific job out there today. He was just beaten by a better team, better talent and more leg speed. Dean Laley did a very good job of coaching of an AFL team out there today.
We've had a tremendous match here. We have another tremendous match coming your way on Fox Sports with the Western Bulldogs playing host to Adelaide. And that's an important match for Adelaide. They wouldn't want to be going into the showdown next week against Port Adelaide 0-2.
Well, they better have their wheels on, Case, because the Western Bulldogs, we saw a speed out here. The Western Bulldogs are the quickest team in the competition. I look forward to the game when the Western Bulldogs do play Port out here, but that'll be a terrific game of football to see on Fox Sports tonight.
And Port Adelaide, what have you made of them? Are they going to finish in the top 8?
I've got no doubt. I've got no doubt if Treadrake can stand up. Their defence is very good, led by the Corns boys. Their midfield are up and running. They're a very good team.
Port Adelaide have got the job done here against the Kangaroos. They've won it by 18 points. Trust you have enjoyed it. On behalf of all the team here at Fox Sports, we'll see you again soon.
This has been a Fox Sports production.